We are rooted in our community. Streamers and creators, they are the trunk. Those of us who follow loyally are the limbs and branches. The saying root and branch is defined as entirely or wholly, which is why this is the name of my new platform. For the streamers and creators that will be my guests are 100% in on making a change, speaking their minds, and expanding others. Welcome to Root and Branch. Hello, everybody! I feel like I haven't seen you guys in days, or maybe minutes. I think it's more like minutes. I'm glad everybody's... Is everybody here? You guys ready for me to start? Ready? Ready? Yeah, I think we pretty much got everybody. All right. Well, that's it. We're going to start it. And I'm going to bring up my guest for tonight. Some of you may know, some of you may not. Divine, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Oh, I am great. I am great. Just so everybody now knows, what are your pronouns?
They.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so how I always start this is just asking about kind of where you came from, your childhood, what that was like for you, parental things, anything you feel comfortable talking about.
Well, my upbringing was, very I wouldn't say unique, but I would say like very different than most kids. I grew up in a very inner city, ghetto-esque neighborhood where pizzas came faster than cops.
Yeah.
So in that environment, you're already gifted with a unique mindset. So my mother and my father were both blue collar workers. My father is, by all intents and purposes, a piece of shit. Uh, that being said, me and my father, we haven't spoken in like almost close to almost 18 years.
Wow.
Uh, and I'm not going to get into why, but that's just the way it's always been. And I guess my circumstances of my upbringing, certain things had to happen that ultimately later on built the mindset of who I became, which was a former hacker, activist, and
Right.
all this other stuff that came to be that makes me today. That's just the rundown of it.
Cool. Yeah, I get the dad thing. I was never, my dad was like, didn't even give a shit about me. I was an extra. I was an extra mouth that he ignored. And then he moved out and we saw each other a couple times and I just had nothing for him. So I quit talking to him. I think the last time I saw him in person, I was 16. Yeah, 16, almost 17 years old. And he died when I was 34. And I think I had talked to him on the phone one time in that period of 17 years. So, yeah, I mean, you know what happens. Sometimes we don't mesh with people in this world. Some people just aren't our cup of tea. And my
No,
dad
I
was like
mean,
a womanizing drunk. So I
oh God,
really, the fact that
yeah,
he
that,
cheated on my mother, when I got old enough to realize that he had been cheating on her and that's why she kicked him out, I was done with that motherfucker. That was it. Because my mom was the shit. My mom was
yeah,
amazing. So
of
yeah.
course. No, I mean, parental aside, despite my father being an absolute piece of shit in my life, but it gave me like a mirror of what not to be, in a sense. Now that I'm at this age where I am, I'm sort of like, I understand him more why he turned out to be a piece of shit. For some reason, I think I had to had experiences that, you know, to make me understand who he is. Because for the longest time when I was growing up, I felt like I never knew him,
Right.
and it's like, you're my father, but yet I don't know you very well.
Right.
So it's kind of like, what is, yeah, I sometimes don't understand that part of it, but
Right.
I'm so thankful that he in many ways did what he did, because otherwise, like I said, a lot of things had to happen for me to turn out the way I did. And in retrospective, I almost became him because, you know, again, when your father doesn't give you much of that attention that you yearn for, especially when you've been deprived of that attention, you sort of lash out. And this is like a psychology thing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and I almost lost myself in that. But
Uh,
then until I kind of walked away from it. So it's hard for me to describe it, but that was pretty much my childhood. If the only reason why I turned out half sane is because of my mother, bless her soul.
is she no longer with us?
No, she still is, but
Oh, good. Good.
she is, you know, the person who has grounded me. Although she had to kick me in the ass a couple of times, and I'm not saying it like literally, I'm saying it figuratively speaking. But she's the reason why I'm still half sane.
Heard. Mac in the chat said, "Is it true or just my impression that moms in general rock harder than dads in general?" I think it's, in my opinion, Mac, I would agree with that. Although I don't think the scales are tipped too far in that direction. Because there's more and more dads these days coming out and saying, I'll take care of my kids. Fuck you. You're crazy. You're a horrible mother. I'll do it. So that is a thing. And I feel like it's more, of course, it's more prevalent now than it used to be. But I think the maternal part of that connection with the baby, normally is a big factor in it. My opinion. What do you think, Divine?
I think mothers from a oh fuck, I can't even say my words today. I think from human essence and evolution, the mothers always tend to be the one that took care of the kids, the one who grounds the kids, and it's always been, whatever happens, the mother usually is the one that keeps the kids nurtured. And this is why the sexism and all this stuff came from that, the religion aspect. But I think now with the modern times, I do see fathers becoming more of that role. And I really would wish that more fathers actually, stepped up in a way. I mean, shout out to the fathers who actually do the double duty, the mom and the dad. Shout out to them because there's not many in the world. But you know, I mean, I guess it all comes down to how you are as a person. I mean, you bring kids into this role, the most decency way to do is just take care of them, even if you're not together with the parent anymore, but at the very least be there for your kids. Don't treat them like shit, and don't ever make your child feel like they're just another mouth to feed, because
Oh,
ultimately you're damaging the child psychologically, and it hurts, you know.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. That's the problem. That's a mistake. That's the big mistake people make when they get divorced and there's kids involved. They try to hurt the other person, but the child ends up getting hurt instead. And
Yeah.
so that's always been a thing that has happened. And you'll see that those rare relationships where the two get along. But absolutely, like, you don't have to like each other. It's not about each other anymore.
No.
They need to move past that and focus on just the children. And the ones that do that realize that the petty fighting and shit is hurting their kid. They realize that because they're focused on the child, not themselves. It's hard to set that aside, that hurt aside. I mean, I don't know personally necessarily. I kind of know, but not really. I haven't been through an extensive thing of it, but it's hard to set that hurt aside and say, okay, I'm not going to be mad at you because of me anymore. Now I have to care about you because I have this little human being that we have between the two of us, and it relies on both of us. So, and that's the key, really, to my mom was really good about that. My mom never said a bad word about my dad. The worst she ever said was, "He's lost right now, and all we can hope for is that one day he finds himself." He's not a bad man. He's just lost. And that's all she would ever say.
I
Yeah.
mean, in contrast to me, I had to find out later on who my father was, and my father was not the nicest man. I'll just leave it at that. You know,
Right.
he's if there's a reason why I say he's a piece of shit, and I'm not saying it just because of how he treated me and my mother, but there's a whole lot of reasons which I'm not gonna say them on stream
Yeah, no, I
because
can dig it.
they're a personal thing, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of reasons as to why, and I had to discover that by myself.
Right.
It's not like my mother told me this. I when my mother kicked my father out of the house, she sat me down and was straight honest with me, and I was very fairly young. This was before me getting into hacking later on in life, and
Okay.
I got into that when I was around 12, 13 years old. So I was
Oh,
pretty
okay.
young. I was pretty young, which we can get into later on in the topic because I
Yeah.
discussed this with Holy Spackle in my ever first interview I did. Um, you know, she sat me down and she said, "Listen, this happened, this happened, this happened," and I threw him out of the house. My reaction to it was, "All right, cool," you know,
Yeah.
because at that point I was seeing how my mother and my father really were just. I would see the fighting and all that. I'm like, enough is enough. You know, like
Yeah. Right.
I'm just out of it, you know, and I would, yeah, and for the longest time, I did feel guilty about it, but then I'm like, you know what? At the same time, it's like that's their thing, and yeah, it hurts because I see my classmates have their parents and shit, but I'm like, you know, whatever's whatever, and that's when I detached myself from it all, and I think those were the seeds for my detachment, and then came this downward spiral, you know, like the album of Nine Inch Nails, which I love dearly, the heart.
Yeah. I think that everybody's got shit. First of all, we all have shit we don't want to talk about on the internet. I pretty much bare my soul, but the main reason I do that is because I want other people to know that anybody that can relate to me or I can relate to, that they know that I can do that for them. And that where I'm at is a safe space to talk about whatever. So
Yeah,
that's the main reason I do it. And it was hard for me at first. Like the first couple times I bared my soul, I broke down crying online and I just told the fucking truth. And I was like, here, this is me. This is me, and you either love
here's
me or you fucking hate me. And I lost some viewers and I gained some viewers. So it's
yeah,
fine. I like the
yeah,
ones I have. They're amazing. So
yeah. Here's the
so
thing, and sorry for interrupting you.
no, no,
When I
no, no. I
didn't,
was about to ask you what led you into getting into hacking, but go ahead.
okay, so what led me into that was it's just a series of what I spoke about me being in class with special ed kids
Right.
and how the other kids would treat them so poorly when all they ever wanted it was to be normal, and they were
Yes.
just the nicest group of kids ever.
Mhm.
The fact of the matter is that was ultimately just the seed of me seeing helpless people be helpless, and I guess that was the seed that was instilled in me to help to help them, and I did.
Right.
I would stand up for these kids, and I would get bullied in the process.
Hell yeah.
And then little by little I would grow up and I would get bullied. I would fight back as much, but then the bullying was so extensive that later on it became picking at me, sort of thing, like picking apart everything that made me so different and try to throw it back at me. And it led me to the point where I got so much in trouble with school they would red tag me for the shit. Like they would say problematic child, red tag folder, whatever. You know?
Yeah, because it's not the fact
And
that you were being bullied, you were just in a situation.
yeah, I was in a
Yeah.
situation where I was pretty much the pain in the ass of the entire school. I mean, that was my high school, you know, and
Wow.
all these things that happened created this thing in me where I needed to absorb myself in something that wouldn't hurt. And
Right.
computers was it. I mean, my
Yeah.
first computer I remember was using Windows 98. I mean, this
Nice.
was before Windows 95, which is the most nostalgic piece of equipment you can imagine, you know.
Yeah.
And Windows 98 was just an upgrade from it. You know,
Right.
that's what people say. But there's also others like Commodore Amiga, which I used that at one point. BBS, Bulletin Board System, which is super old. That's like early 90s,
Oh,
early
really?
90s, late 80s. And the only reason I was able to learn from that is because I had a thrift shop and I was friends with the kid whose father was the owner. So
Ah,
anytime there
okay.
was old piece of equipment, it was like, let me trade something because I didn't have money, I didn't have shit. So one
Right.
of the things I had to do was trade something. And
Yeah.
and I grew up poor. I had VCR and cassettes. Now that's considered like what, a collector's item.
Yeah, right. It's true.
A
But yeah,
collector's
we
item.
didn't have a VCR or anything like that. I mean, I didn't have one until I was like like 25 or 28 and I finally had the money to buy one. No, I get it. I grew
Right.
up dirt
And
poor.
from when and then so I would trade that and I would have that and
Yeah.
then I would like experiment. So all these things took me to learning the intricacies of how all that worked. And like I said, I started very young. This is not,
Yeah.
like most people who started, they started what, like in their, 16,
Yeah,
18,
15, 16,
20,
17. Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
and and the only reason why I got into it was just, again, my own fucking curiosity of it. It's all right, I can cuss here, right? Because I don't
Oh,
want.
fuck yeah. Cuss all you want. Nobody gives a fuck here.
I'm trying to be respectful here because I
No, it's all
haven't.
good.
Yeah, yeah,
You do
yeah.
you. I'm all good.
All right. I think somebody had a question in the chat. Let me read it real quick because I haven't heard.
They did. Um, put it up here.
Was I around for the payphone hackers? I know that I knew two of them that did it. I
Really?
can I could put it that way.
Huh.
I could put it that way. I knew two that did it, but it wasn't like something that it was high value. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
The people who did it, I think, were doing it for the same reason I was doing the BBS and all that other stuff, so they can learn the old system and then understand it and then perform what you needed to do. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And
Yeah.
it's a concept that not many people do nowadays. It's a lost art. The very people who still do this, they're interested in knowing the culture and how
Okay.
things evolved. And me, I'm a historian, so in a sense, it's kind of like it was amped for me to do it.
Right.
And not many people have the patience that I do. And that's just the way it is.
Oh, I don't.
And
I don't.
yeah, so it's like, I knew two that did it, but they didn't do it for very long. That I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So was there not just, I mean, besides just having the accessibility to trade for equipment and anything, was there anything that made you go, ooh, I want to be in some kind of electronics? Was there anything that like sparked you when you were younger?
Oh, music.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I mean, I had a Walkman. When that was still a thing. I mean,
Fuck
I
yeah.
remember, my father, even though he was a piece of shit, the one thing that kind of compensated him for it was his taste of music. Like he
Oh,
was a metalhead,
really? That's
a
great.
rocker. Like I still have he had like a huge collection of rock CDs, like a motherfucker, like the Beatles, the Police, fucking Metallica, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Fuck yeah. Metallica's great. I love
And I'm
Metallica.
like, yes, like, and that's why I say I'm always a little bit of a metalhead, because if even though, yes, my father's a piece of shit, but at the very least he had good taste in music. So
Can't be
thank you,
all bad, right?
yeah, thank you, you son of a bitch, you gave me good taste in music.
There you go. Oh, well, at least there's something there. I've heard
Yeah,
that from people before too. Like, man, me and my dad, we have nothing in common, but we like the same music. And that was like
yeah,
the only link they would have, right?
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
interesting. So
it's thanks to him that I was able to appreciate music a little more because he used to listen to like Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, which Tina Turner, like fuck, like how for the piece of shit my father was, he liked listening to Tina Turner, which that was the complete irony in my life. But hey, what can I say?
oh my god. Is that like instead of learning something from the song you learn the bad way to be instead or something
I
like
think
that?
so. I don't know. My father was just a complete. Like I told you,
Yeah.
I never. He was my father, but I never knew him. So
Yeah. I call
you
mine
know,
sperm donor, really.
yeah. Well,
Thanks for the
you.
sperm, man. Peace. Like that's I mean, I was a beer getter. That was fun for a couple of years.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
No. Yeah.
hey there, Christopher Mowdy. I need to speak with you more on DMs, but thanks for stopping by.
Well, I'm gonna bring everybody in here after we're done talking, so you'll have a chance to talk to him.
Oh,
If
good.
we can get it, if we're not up too late for him, because
Oh, yeah, yeah. I understand
kids,
that.
family man, blah blah blah. More important
Yeah.
than YouTube. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding, Mounty.
It's fine. It's fine.
No, he's a good dude though.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So, did you do any schooling for any of this, or did you just stick
No,
your hands in it and learned it yourself?
no. I learned the hard way by
Oh
myself.
wow.
Like no tutorial, no nothing. This was before the YouTube thing, and which is why I appreciate the knowledge that I have now.
Right.
It's kind of like, nowadays you could just Google certain things or YouTube certain things, and you can do it from scratch from tutorial. I still had to learn things the hard way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and this is why, even though I don't consider myself an old school when it comes to that category, but I have the mentality for it.
Right.
So, and many people in the community where I am now, they consider me old school. And I always tell them you don't have to, but it's humbling.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, but there's a different set of ethics with that, and I mean not really ethics, work ethic, when it comes to the older mindset versus the younger ones who want to, the older generation will like dig it apart, figure, take it all apart, put it back together themselves, figure it out, do whatever they got to do. This has got to work, or I got to fix that. I don't know how to do it. I'm gonna figure it out. And the
The
younger generations are like YouTube. Let me find the shortcut. But
Yeah,
that's yeah. So no, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
the
totally.
ethos of that is essentially always been for many decades is learn the shit yourself. Like
Yeah,
nobody's gonna spoon feed you shit, and
yeah,
nobody's ever gonna teach you shit. So if you want to learn, and you have to put in the work.
yeah,
This is what's always been ingrained in my mind, and this is something I think in general too. Like if you want to learn something, put the steps.
yeah. No, you're right. I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
And
Uh,
I think Matt the Human says I
yeah,
sound youthful. Well, I'm not that old. I started young, and it's not. That's why I say I'm not old school because my age doesn't reflect it, but in the mindset I have it.
yeah, yeah.
So, I have never ever denied that, if that makes
Right.
any sense.
No, yeah, no, I get it. I get it, and I think it's commendable the people that even the younger generations who still think in that mindset and don't mind sticking their hands in the dirt. I think it's commendable. I think it's you're kind of investing more of yourself into it. You know.
In a sense, I mean, I
Yeah.
was going through tough times then, and it was kind of like my escape from my real life to ingrain in something that even though I love doing, but it took me to so many dark places that
Hmm.
you know, Jesus, I don't wish for people to have seen remotely 60% of the shit that I've seen
Right.
because I have the nightmare still. So it's not like it's not made for everybody. It's just like I told on the Holy Spackle interview when she first interviewed me.
Yeah.
Um, you pay a price for this lifestyle. you pay a price, and I paid it. You know,
Yeah.
and so many people do as well. This is not something that should be romanticized or any of the sort. You know,
Yeah.
you know how to do things that not many people know how to do, but you pay a price for that, just like everything in life.
Yeah, because you can get some deep shit for knowing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, or
Yeah.
or even in my case, it's your relationships get damaged because of it, and
Yeah. I can see that.
sadly that happened with me. So, will I ever be able to repair that? I don't know. Like, time will only tell those things. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I can dig that. So so you said you used to be a hacker though,
yeah, I don't
right?
do it no more.
You're
I don't
straight
do it
laced. I'm
no
done with
more.
that shit. Yeah.
No, no. I mean, there are certain circumstances that made me walk away from it because it was either that or you go to jail, prison, actually. So it's
Ooh.
like,
Okay.
you know, I had to do it before that event happened. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, there's three ways in how this happens. You you do it, get caught, you go to prison. Okay. The second is you do it, people find out who you are, and you're on the run, and you're gonna be on the run forever. The third is you do it, you walk away, and nobody knows who the fuck you are.
And you're like,
And
I'll pick door number 3,
yeah,
Alex.
and
Yeah.
door number three was for me because at the time I was a nobody, and I was just I was just somebody else who knew how to do it. So I was able to take that step and walk away.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Yeah. Well, that's probably a good decision. No one wants to be running when they're 60 still. Still. Yeah. I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't imagine. Like,
there's a friend of
yeah.
mine who is currently in jail right now for a you know computer fraud and abuse act right now, who's doing so poorly, and he's in his late, almost close, damn near 60.
Ooh.
So I'm sort of, anytime I can, I try to retweet some of the things to help raise awareness. So,
Right.
because he's having a tough time in there. So, at the very least, what I can do is try to spread the word about his story.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a good action. Is hacking an effective method for activism?
I mean, that's why the word hacktivism exists. Most of the stuff
Touche.
that most of the stuff that has been done in the last, I guess you can say, 10 to 12 years
Mm-hmm.
was due to hacktivism. Um, and speaking of which, this is where the anonymous comes in. I don't like using them very much, but there's anonymous with that sort of thing. So I'm gonna use them as an example since everybody's gonna understand this.
Right.
The way I came to know of anonymous was in 2009 with Operation Payback. So, and that operation was when they pretty much went against PayPal because PayPal decided to pretty much take the donation page off of WikiLeaks.
Uh,
And that made international headlines.
yep.
So this hacking serve an activism? Absolutely. It depends on which type of activism it is. What type of cause it is. And if there's many people for the cause that are willing to put the effort and using that skill, it's going to happen. And it did
Yeah.
happen for so many things. Just recently, if we're going to talk recently, there was this released on Epic Epic Fail, like a right wing hosting site that had so many that I think it was a hosting site that hosted a lot of right wing sites, and there was a big ass leak that happened that exposed many IPs, names, the whole nine yards.
Right.
So, and that was to prove a point that these are the sites that were using this hosting site that are connected to Proud Boys,
Ah.
that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, if there is a cause and if there's people that want to do for the cause, they're going to use that skill and it's going to be effective.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Like, I'm sitting here trying to think of the different ways that there's so many things you could probably do. I can't even wrap my head around it literally. Because I don't know anything about hacking, but I mean, I know the principle behind it, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a very complicated world. Not many people have an understanding of it,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's like the media sort of built something of a stereotype that made the public believe that's what hacking is. You
Yeah.
know, and it sometimes it annoys me a little bit because it's like, for instance, hacker was not all that the media tells you. Hacker used to be hacker in its essence was somebody who learned how to write code and did all the technological stuff, pretty much like a car mechanic specialist,
Okay.
you know. And the one who would steal your shit without like your parts of your car and all that, that used to be called a cracker, which is now known as black hat. The same
Oh,
hat that I'm
okay.
wearing on the icon, but I'm not a black hat anymore.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
you know, and it was two completely distinctive terms, but because it's the new modern decade, the media saw what was happening and they were like, okay, let's invent something that the people could understand. And they were like, they used, I think, a country type, in the country movies where you have to distinct who was the good guy and the bad guy, and the only way you can do that is by the color of the hats.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the logic that they used.
Okay.
So if it's a white hat, they're good. If they're black hat, they're bad.
Right.
So they used that principle and made it white hat, black hat, gray hats, and so many other fucking hats. There's now a red hat and blue hat, which
Right.
and it's like, you guys are making this more complicated than it needs to be.
Does it need to be this like see right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's nothing other than that, other complicated. Yes, there's ransomwares. Yes, there's all these different things that's happening, but it's like the internet and the digital world are so mm, intertwined with the real world. You kind of have to treat your internet security as you do your real life,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
And I feel like it's the big rich guys and the big corporations that treat people like shit that are saying, "Oh, hackers are horrible," because they bust them or they fuck them up or they call them out or whatever they're doing. And I feel like they just want everybody to hate them because they're screwing people over and now they're getting screwed and they don't fucking like it. That's my opinion. As little as I know about it.
yeah, here's the
But of
thing
course
though.
the rich people want everybody to hate them,
But the rich people pay the hackers to defend their corporation, so they're being hypocritical in that.
Yes.
So, in a sense,
Yes, I agree.
that's why bug bounties in many ways are like, I did bug bounty for a bit. I mean, this is something that's not a secret. Okay, I've done it. I've done bug bounties, which is basically you finding bugs in somebody's sites and you report them and then you get paid. I had to
Oh,
do
okay.
that for I had to do that for money sometimes because money gets tight and I got to pay
Yeah.
bills.
Yeah.
So, but the arguments with them and getting paid is a bitch.
Ah,
So it's like I stopped doing them because it was like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of arguing with you over shit that, to get my money for the work that I put in. Fuck you.
yeah. Yeah, I'll go
So,
find someone that'll pay me to do my job. Fuck you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
no, I can
and
dig
I
it.
wasn't
Yeah.
even doing it because it was a job. I just needed the fucking money so I can pay my fucking rent, so I can have another month in a roof over my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I've been there way too many times.
Yeah.
So, I
Heard.
mean, it's just the way it is. And anytime I hear another person going through that, I'm like, listen, I get it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've been down. I've been down and out before myself.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So, did anybody else, if you have any questions in the chat, just throw them up there as we're talking, and Divine will answer them as we go there. So, where do you see yourself going in the future with the knowledge you have in the past? Do you plan on just doing little side gigs, or do you want to like do your own company, or do you have like a goal, or what are you doing with that?
I mean, in terms of that, I do have plans of turning professional, like
Good.
legitimately white hat at this point, because it's like, I did it for close to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, at this point, I realize it's the only thing I know what to do. I mean, I can do any other career and be the best at it,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Yeah,
at the
it's
same
starting from,
time,
like, I get it. It's starting all the way from the bottom again.
yeah,
God,
and
and it
it's like
sucks.
I have to somehow now get certificates and all that bullshit just to get me hired into the IT sector. I'm like, really? Like, I gotta start this shit all over again. But you know what? I don't mind doing it.
Can you see
Do I
that?
know, do I
Okay.
know any parts of Trolls of the Round Table from here on YouTube a few years back? Do I remember the wording? No, but I do remember seeing it. I mean, my life was a blur during that period. So it's one of those things where I remember seeing it, but I don't remember the lines. I mean, I don't know. It's just something weird with my head. Thank you, Holy Spackle. I do appreciate that, the support. And hello, everybody in chat. I am answering you guys' questions as it goes along. ONG hat, back to human.
Sorry about that, guys. I've made coffee when we started this conversation. I realized it was getting cold in the pot, and I wanted to put it in my cups real quick because I'm a coffeeholic. It's true. I have a serious coffee issue. And
Well,
actually, you said something about following in Dad's footsteps. After my mother passed away when I was 18, I was pretty fucked up, and I drank a lot for years and years. And then one day I was like, oh my God, I'm turning into my father. Rarely drink anymore. I'll probably have, since I've been hanging out with Ben on YouTube, I might have like 1 or 2 drinks a week at the most. And that's like excessive for me, So
no, I
yeah,
get it.
no,
I mean,
but it's well,
I
kids learn what they live. If that's what
yeah,
you're
they do.
teaching
And
them.
I like, my environment when I was a kid was just one that shouldn't be raised, like legitimately when you're a kid, because you see things that you shouldn't be seeing. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's what made me have the knowledge that I do when it comes to people.
Yeah.
So
Ox said, just wondering, there was a group of hackers that used to what
yeah, I answered
you messed
that.
up your spelling on that. Yeah, no, on YouTube background. 2014. Thank you. That's why I was trying to read it. I saw a date. I saw a year on it.
No, I know what he means. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay.
think I've heard about it. I heard about it, and cool. I mean, there's always people that gonna do that sort of thing. Trolls, it is a common problem. I mean, in any platform, in any social media, really.
No, yeah, it's absolutely the truth. There's always, it's like I say, because people are like, oh, the Christians are horrible. Oh, the atheists are horrible. Oh, everybody shut up. The bottom line is every group has some assholes in it.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
I mean,
and the assholes are the loudest ones, so they're the ones noticed more than the people sitting in the background that are good people that aren't going to attack people. What do you notice? You notice the squeaky wheel. So everybody thinks, oh, these people, all these groups. No, there's just assholes in every group. That's just all it is. There's assholes in our community. It's just the way it is.
yeah. I mean,
I still feel
for
like we have
me,
less than the Christians, but that's just my opinion.
the here's the thing with me though. It's like trolls. They're always gonna exist. The only thing to do in that regard is don't pay them any attention to mine. Now, there's always going to be people that are going to dox the trolls.
Mhm.
That's just it. That's like a cycle of a wheel that's never going to end. And that's just the way you have to, as a creator or YouTuber, you have to sort of accept. Because I think for a little bit, I saw a lot of trolls coming around, and then when I went to Twitch, that's the huge hate raids that were starting to happen and all these other
Oh,
things. And the best to say that is just ignore, just document it, ignore it, and
yep.
take the steps, because
Yeah, I
there's
tell.
nothing there's
I'm
nothing
sorry.
you can do about it. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, they're not
you
going to
know,
stop.
and
And
if you give them encouragement or you answer them, you're feeding them more. So it's
yep,
like
you're
you could
enabling them.
only
Yep.
you only can control what you can control, and that's yourself and how you react to it.
Yeah, Max said feeding the trolls just makes them stronger. Absolutely, Mac. Absolutely. No, and it's true. And like my buddy Ben, these trolls come on and they tell him he's full of shit, and he's a third-year med student, right? So we're like, dude, he just read it in the book, like the book that they teach doctors out of, the book,
Yeah.
And they just, and he's like, no, and I got to tell him they're wrong. I gotta stand up, and I get it. Like, but I told him, I said, eventually you're just gonna have to ignore him. You're gonna wear yourself out. There
Yeah,
are
I
plenty of
mean,
people on YouTube that have just got burnt the fuck out from fighting trolls and fighting assholes and fighting, turfs and all this other shit, YECs and everything. Like, it'll wear you out because there's always a line of them waiting to troll, and there's always a line of them that's gonna, like you said, once they see they can come into your channel and fuck with you, they're gonna. I've been trolled twice, and me and my mods took care of it, and none of them have been back because I didn't fuck around with it. You know what I mean?
but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, and I want to challenge people on that. On one end, yes, that does work, and that does all that, and
To a
usually
point.
what how I say it, yeah, they usually it puts a stop to it. But then when you got people that go relentlessly to even other people that don't even have a fucking channel, and
Mm-hmm.
it becomes obsessive, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's why these hate trolls and in this hate raids of trolling in Twitch became
Yeah.
so much of a big deal, because it was just a constant nonstop,
Yeah.
and the platform was just getting very unstable. And YouTube, I've seen it in my short time being around these channels. It's like, you know, these ever stop spamming and all this other stuff, and it's like, at the end of the day, it depends on how you feel about it. I mean, if you are at a point where you don't want to see it anymore, or you feel so overwhelmed by it, at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for your mental health,
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, that's all I can really say on that.
And that's in all situations, folks, because the bottom line is nobody's going to take care of you like you. And no one can fix you and take care of you except you in that regard. So yeah, mental health is, I'm a big advocate of that. So thank you for that, Divine. So we're getting close to the 45-minute mark. So anything that you want to put out there before we bring anybody in, and anything on your mind or anything?
Well, I don't know. I mean, not really as much. You can start bringing people in. I guess I'll just play it by ear.
Okay. All right. Now I know everybody loves Divine, but don't flood me too hard with people. But there's the link if you guys want to come in. Maya, wonderful. Glad you showed up too. All my peeps are here. I love you guys. So supportive. It's amazing. Yeah, so the link's down there. Everybody wants to come in. If I don't know you, good luck. You better show your face. Not coming in my shit. So let's set us up over here more friendly for everybody. Haha, I knew Monty was going to be the first ones.
Thank you.
So you guys have to forgive me. My cat's got a burr up its ass right now, and it's running around, and the other one's trying to follow it. So I apologize for any noise. Mounty, go. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. So now I am at the train station. So if you lose me or if I start getting robotic or janky, tell me straight away so I can kind of leave and come back, hopefully.
Okay. Well, if you get kicked, it's because you were doing that and you couldn't hear me, okay?
Fair enough.
Okay. Touche.
Fair enough.
It's always good to have a bro code.
Oh, absolutely. You
Absolutely.
kick me and I come back and I'm like, what the fuck, man?
No, when I kick people off my stream, normally it's because they deserved it and they come back laughing and flipping me off because they know they deserved it. So it's okay.
That's how it should be, right? You got to be able to
I
bust
mean, I didn't even
balls.
kick Jenny off earlier, and that was close. I almost did it. She was being a little shit. But anyways, so I think you two had wanted to talk or had questions or something for each other. So go for it. If anybody has any questions in the chat, you can still throw them up there. That didn't stop because I started letting people in. And if anybody wants in, you know where the link is.
Well, Divine, it is a pleasure to virtually meet you. We've DM'd each other. I've seen you interviewed by Holy, and I've seen you in the side chats. So I think this is one of the first opportunities we've had to be in a hang together. If memory serves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm humbled as hell right now being with you in the panel. So
I'm
it's
humbled as hell that you're saying such nice things. And so you mentioned that so if I may say from your DMs, you had mentioned that you knew me from the old Google Plus days. Is that correct?
I heard of you mainly through Drag, because I was in his server when I came around these parts, and then I
Gotcha.
saw his videos talking about the Google Plus days, and then he mentioned you. So that's how I could recall.
Yeah, the good old Google. So were you a part of the old guard Google Plus days? Were you there?
No.
Okay.
No. I wish.
It was certainly a better time than now, comparatively speaking.
I'm
And
pretty sure.
We had our own problems. They were just different problems, right?
Yeah, I mean, Google Plus, I've never used it personally, so I can't really comment on it per se. But definitely, I like when I meet somebody from there, it's always humbling to me because I get to talk to them. Because I was in my own little world when that shit was like in its highest peak. From what I'm gathering retrospectively, I was somewhere else because I think the Google Plus days was from 2008 to 2013, 14, like that.
Yes, that's about right.
Okay, so at that time I was still doing my own thing, and then that's when from 2012 I did the Amanda Todd, which founded my own organization and all this other stuff. So I was pretty busy in another world, in another time.
Well, I'm glad that you came back to Earth.
Divine pulled their head back out of the interwebs and said, "Oh, look, there's."
Yeah. I mean, it's been like, when you are in that community for as much as I was, that's like your world, and you know nothing other than that. So even for me doing these panels now, it's still weird and new to me. So, but I'm just like playing it by ear and seeing how I go. Same way anything I ever did that's new,
Yeah. So because now you're in front of the technology instead of behind it is what it is, right?
That and also just meeting people.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
the social aspect of people. I mean, when you do this shit, most of the time you're like by yourself. That's why people who go to DEF CON, I'm not sure if any of you have heard about it, that's where many of them actually get away from this routine of being alone and you meet people. And that's like a once in a year type of thing. Obviously,
Oh, really?
Yeah, and obviously COVID made that a bit difficult, but yet that's why there's a server in DEF CON, which I'm a member of, in a sense. I'm in their server, so I get to talk to people, like-minded people like myself sometimes.
Yeah.
So You know.
So Holy Spackle said, "I love these type of discussions more than the shows, frankly." And that's why I try to keep the shows short. Normally, ooh, what is that background noise? Is that you,
not
Mac?
I don't think so. I don't have a fan on or anything.
Oh, you're really. Can you turn yourself down? I think you're picking up just background noise.
Okay, let's see.
Just turn yourself down a bit.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
It happens. Don't worry.
Yeah, no big deal. So Mac, do you know Divine?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys
Yeah.
have me too.
How's it going?
Real quick, what I was trying to say is normally I have two people on here and I'll do 20-minute interviews each, and then I'll bring everybody in and them up and let them talk a little bit, and then do an after party. But because of Divine's work schedule, it was a later than normal start, so that's why I did it like this time. But yeah, no, I love these kind of discussions, and that's really why I get people on to interview them, because I want to start a discussion. So you guys have
Absolutely.
at it.
No, I've seen you around, Mac, on the chat, but never really. This is like our first time meeting virtually.
Yeah, right on. Well, it's it's a pleasure.
Same here.
So
man. Same here.
I guess what I'm interested in, if I could kind of drill down on it, is there's a romanticism associated with the whole hacker movement that's certainly tied to sort of the cinema version, the sneakers kind of stuff, and all of that. But there's also that whole narrative seems to be sort of driven by, I guess, like a united narrative, if you know what I'm saying. Like, do you think that there's I'll just put it plainly, do you think that there's like a media sort of representation of the hacker community that's deliberate and misleading, sort of a PR stunt, if you get what I was saying?
Yes, and it's because of what I was telling you. It's like the media likes to manipulate and sort of show you what it sort of is, but when you meet, it's a contrast of when you meet in real life.
Right.
Like somebody who's a hacker can be somebody who is homeless. Somebody who's a hacker can be somebody who's a CEO. Somebody who's a hacker can be a 13-year-old kid who's just learning the ropes. Somebody can be a hacker and be a college student. Like, there's no, like, the media representation of it, I've gathered it has something to do with the fact that they need to cash in on getting the ratings.
Right.
Because the news needs something. And the news isn't going to feed itself. I mean, at the end of the day, the news has always been exploitative, even during the 70s. And this is something I wish I can talk more about the topic, because, and obviously in my community, when I go to a stream, I sometimes do talk about it in that stream, because we talk about, we shit the media every time we are in there.
Right.
But definitely this aspect of this portrayal of hackers is something I wish I can talk about more. And the only time I've ever seen a sort of accurate representation is Mr. Robot, the TV show.
I love it.
It's as close as you can get it. Obviously, because this is TV series, there's going to be some type of discrepancies where they have to extend it and make it a little bit over dramatic, because it's a TV show. They need to be entertaining. But the core aspects of the programs they use and the mentality they use and the social engineering is fairly accurate, because any type of hack, 90% of it is social engineering. The 10% is the tools. This has always been a fact.
Fair enough. I mean, it makes sense. So, yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I've always said, hackers are the best shrinks. Because when you, for instance, I'm going to use me as an example. You tell me something about yourself, I tell you 3 things that you didn't know about yourself. You know, and that's just something that over the years I just built. And unfortunately and fortunately, therapy did help me polish who I became in that mindset of a
Hmm.
social engineer. I mean, therapy helps you, but not in the way people think.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I mean, it didn't help me at all, honestly.
Uh,
it depends. It depends on the situation and circumstances, but it helped me a little bit, as shitty as the therapy was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it made me think more about stuff, but I was already a self-analyzer. So, it kind of, the only thing that really helped me about it was just being absolutely 100% honest with myself and the other person and just letting it all out and fucking crying and getting it all done and over with. And I
For
went through
sure.
3 different therapists. So done that 3 times. And then once on here where I spilled my guts. I don't know which stream that is. Don't ask me. I have no idea. It was one of my first mental health streams. I know that if anybody wants to look, I bared my soul and bawled like a baby.
Nice.
But now I'm to the point where it doesn't. So it's actually helped me because it helped me learn to talk about it without becoming a mess like I normally would. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that part of it was good. How's that?
The funny thing is that I was talking to a friend of mine who is in the same world as I am. And we always get nostalgic and remind ourselves of what we used to do because he's also retired from it as well.
Oh, okay.
And I always joke with him. I'm like we should do like a support system of just us because we've seen too much shit that still gives us nightmares. Like there should be a fucking support system, and we just crack ourselves laughing
Right.
because
Right.
we like, and I'm saying we as the community as a whole because a lot of us have seen shit that you don't see the world the same way. You just don't, and
Yeah.
you see the depravity of what humans can be, but at the same time, you sort of appreciate the goodness that life has because of it. It's a very weird dynamic.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of like when my ex used to watch the Housewives of whatever, all those housewife shows, and she's a very intelligent person. I don't date stupid people. And so I said to her after a while, I was like, why do you watch these? Like, you're so intelligent. And she said, because it makes my life feel better. Because these people are so rich and so fucked up that I'm glad that I am poor and it's not really that bad. So she would use that as like a tool to be like, this is what I could have to deal with this kind of drama in my life, and I don't. So not so bad. So yeah, you can
well,
look at it like that.
as the old saying goes,
love
more
that.
money, more problems.
Right? Just different kinds of problems, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't get out of problems. You just inherit way so many more. I mean,
Yeah.
no stress, no life. That's how they say it.
Well, yeah, because if you aren't stressed about anything at all, which even as chilled as I am, it's hard for me not to stress over shit. But most people that don't stress over shit are just uninformed. And then there's people like me that just realize that life's too fucking short to sit there and let
That
it
was
eat me up and
fucking
eat me alive
beautiful.
when there's nothing that I can fucking do about it except for talk about it and try to normalize shit. Beyond that, I have no control. So that's what I do. That's my part in any of it.
You cannot control outside of yourself.
Nope.
If that makes any sense.
That's right.
You can barely control yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
true.
you might as well control you. You control yourself than anything. I think it's easier to manage.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. People want that have these good hearts. They want to like, I'm gonna fix all this, and I'm like, no, you're not. First of all, if you can, that's amazing. Second of all, take baby steps. Don't kill yourself, because it's just like if someone would say to me, someone says to me, "Oh, this person pissed me off," and I go, "Well, why'd you let them?" "Oh, well, no, it wasn't like that." "No, you let them. Why'd you let them? Why'd you let him piss you off?" "Well, they were saying, but do you think that they are home right now mad at you?" No, they probably don't care. Then why do you care? Don't worry about it. Just
But
sweep that one under
here's
the rug, kick it out the door, burn it in a pile, whatever you're gonna do with it, and fucking move on. Because you can't, like, if toxic people around me, I just get rid of them. That's what
Yes.
I
but
do.
here, yeah, that's true. And I mean, here's the thing though. I've always, you know, so much, right? But then there's also this other argument where it can be made that also ignorance is a bliss because you know so
Yeah.
much. It's like you know so much.
Yes.
You know, it's
It's hard
a
to not let
blessing.
it get to you. Yeah.
It's a blessing, but also a fucking curse.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That's why
I
our kids
think,
these days are so screwed up.
oh yeah,
They have too much
don't.
access. Access to
It's
shit they're not ready to see yet.
it's not only that, it's just the curiosity because they want to be
Oh yeah.
badasses and they want to go into places like the concept of below the iceberg of the internet. The
Mhm.
few people that I catch that want to go there, I always tell them don't even attempt to go there at all because you're going to come in one way, you're going to leave out of it a completely different person.
Yeah.
And I advise, and if there's one PSA I want to do, is essentially do not go below the iceberg of the internet. Do not. And I implore this. And I know a lot of you are going to say, fuck it, I'll still do it anyway. Well, that's on you. I'm
No,
just
I'm
saying
good.
don't.
I'm good.
You know,
I'm good. I've heard enough horror stories by hearsay. I'm good.
Yeah, just the
I'm not
tip.
interested.
Just the tip, please. Just the tip.
Just-
Yeah,
just stay
I'll
in the
stick
tip.
with the top of the iceberg, Titanic. Yeah, I'm not trying to sink my ship.
Hey, Divine, can I drill down on that a little bit? I mean,
Sure,
it's
go ahead.
October, and you know, I want some spooky shit going on tonight.
Okay.
I hope everybody's good with that. But
Yep.
I just want to share something real quick, and maybe you can contextualize it for me. But the first time I ever ran into the so-called hacker community was in 1994, and I had just I had run away from home a bunch of times before then, but that was the first time I had done it successfully. And I ended up in San Francisco that year. And believe it or not, I got an apartment right on Haight and I don't remember the cross street, but the Golden Gate Park was right across the street from me. It was awesome. It was such a cool like spot, you know, a shitty like apartment building with a corrupt landlord, you know, but it was awesome. But I took the bus all the time, and I met this guy on the bus one day. I was coming from the Marina District, and he was like a hacker. He was like the guy. And he had a chinger in his pocket, and he was babbling nonsense about, you know, the interaction between like hacking computer systems and hacking reality with LSD, and like, you know, like, man, you don't even get it, man. Like, you don't even know that you don't even know, and all this stuff. And so he pointed me to this group called the Discordians. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they were an activist group that used computer technology to like just purely disrupt sort of the order that was taking place in the early 90s and 2000s electronically. They like deliberately disrupted that attempt at creating order with our email, with the whole like Google kind of tyranny and Facebook tyranny. Like they were the trolls, and they were the, you know, eventually they were what morphed into the whole Pepe like weird let's
4chan type thing. Yeah.
let's meme a president into office kind of stuff. Like do you know about all of that? Like have you been on that level of things?
Yeah. I've known about it for quite some time.
Right on.
And this is because I've surrounded myself with people who have been in this more longer than me. You know, so they tell me the story, so I can rely on them to actually explain it contextually because they tell me. But they don't tell me in full detail because there may be some stuff they did that they want to omit, which fine, I don't give a shit, you know.
Right.
But you know, the stuff that I can personally tell you that because I've been surrounded by that. That's why I can speak it. If I've been in that you're talking about, I could also speak it because I've heard it from other people, and
Hmm.
I appreciate the knowledge. Because if there's one thing about me is I like to learn from people anyway. Like any little thing that you think it's meaningless to you, it's not meaningless to me. And this is because of just my natural ability to learn from people because I can learn from anybody. It could be the stupidest thing, it could be the smartest thing, but I learn, you know, and I
Totally.
use that to my own advantage and experiences. And at one point, that was my social engineering. So don't be afraid of that. But
Yeah.
I'm not on it no more. So it's just me just wanting to learn because fuck it, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I've learned about that, and I've been to 4chan. B board is still a piece of shit. You know, B board is still fucked up in every sense of the word, but that's what makes 4chan interesting with the Pepe and the kegs and the
It's
memes and
crazy.
all the darkness and of all the dark jokes, dark humor, which I can go toe to toe with the best of them. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, to answer
Got a
your
lot on.
question,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
to answer your question, yeah, I've known about them, and yeah, shout outs to them. My respects for what they did, even though personally I think they could have done a little bit more better. But for the technology of the time, you work what you work with.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that dark web shit or anything, so I have nothing to say right now. You guys carry on.
Uh,
That whole thing it's a mess in itself. I like the horror stories. Like you heard it on YouTube. There's some videos in there. The horror stories. I mean, I am doing a podcast show, but it's not. You can say it's a thing where it's bringing a little bit of our dark world into, and me and the co-host are like the filter, because
Okay.
there's some stuff that people don't even cover that we can because we, in some sense, come from the place that we can cover it, and we're very detached from it because
Right.
again, we've seen so much. So it's like we can tell you with a straight face, but at the same time make you laugh at it. But you also have to remember these things happen and it's a dark thing,
hmm.
Yeah.
you know? So it's kind of like playing that medium ground of what you can talk about, but also finding the humor of that darkness. And that's not easy, I'll tell you that much. Like, I talk about it with my potential co host on all the time. It's like, how in the fuck are we going to explain these things like racist cartoons that we find that we always laugh at it when we talk privately, like bringing that onto the platform? That's going to be interesting. Bringing cases that have been in the media for years that people don't want to talk about, that we can give our own input. Like,
Right.
I'll take a stab at it, like the 2014 nude scandal that involved celebrities, you know, and the iCloud leak, as it's known.
Mhm.
Like, bring that into the equation, and take whatever context from it and learn from it, and hopefully make you laugh in the process. But how that's going to be executed, that's a whole different story. Now, mind you, this is just a thing. It's not formalized yet.
Right.
But yeah,
Fucking secular
yeah,
liberty.
that is called LimeWire in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
LimeWire Mega Upload, which was shut down by the FBI in 2010. I remember that.
Oh, that's right.
Yep,
Oh, is that why they were shut down?
yep.
Oh
D
shit!
D
Really? They just
DC
disappeared. I didn't know why.
DC No, they were shut down because of DCMA, and so many things happened. Mega Upload was closed because of it, and LimeWire was just a cesspool of viruses and really just some nasty shit. Guys, that's music shit. Like
Yeah.
there would be, I wouldn't like me personally at that time. I wouldn't download shit from LimeWire anyway, and if I did, I always ran it two times so there was nothing in it.
Yeah.
And you can
Okay.
compare it, and you can compare it to the size of the file. If the size of the file does not match the size of when it's officially posted, then there's something you shouldn't be seeing.
Yeah,
You
somebody
know?
told me that, and I remember downloading music off of sites like that. First of all, I never paid a fucking dime. If it was a pay music, I wouldn't fucking get it. So they didn't make a fucking dime off of me. I'm like, nah, bitch, I'm poor. So I go look, I jump around different sites and look for a song I wanted to try to find it for free. But yeah, no, and a friend of mine told me that. And he said, just make sure you check and that it's the same amount that you're downloading. And I
Yeah.
would do that. And that's the only thing I knew. So
Yeah. Because
okay.
that avoids downloading things that you shouldn't be downloading,
Yeah.
which can get you into legal trouble. And that was something that many people had to do, including myself. You know, that is just for your own sanity. And nowadays it's called Pirate Bay and Torrent. You
Yeah.
know, but if people still do that, hey, that's their deal. I'm not gonna say no to it. I'm not gonna say yes to it. I'm Switzerland when it comes to that at this point.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my god. Ox said Pirate Bay. Woohoo! There are still active links to it.
Of course, Pirate Bay is Pirate Bay. I mean, my community loves Pirate Bay. So, that's why
Oh
I say
yeah.
I'm Switzerland. Because it's like, I
Yeah.
listen, I come from a community that is open minded to all sorts of shit. So it's like, but even then, there's limits, So, but otherwise, it's pretty open minded to listening to different viewpoints. As long as you
Okay.
don't make an ass out of yourself, then you're cool.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much the rule I have here. Just don't be a dick. Everyone's
Yeah.
welcome. Just don't be a dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I say that all the time. What do you think, Mac?
I'm doing my best not to be a dick.
No, you're doing cool, man. Yeah, you're doing
No,
you're
Mac. I
doing
don't even
good.
know if you could be a dick, dude. You're so cool. You're fucking laid back and funny. You're cool, man.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
I mean,
It's a
I'm
pleasure
usually
to be
known.
here.
Yeah, same here. I'm usually known as the prick, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it like, as also known as the bastard sometimes in some circles. So it doesn't matter.
Well, I tell them if you're gonna call me a prick or a dick, call me a big prick or a big dick. So at least I'm big. Yep, I'm a big dick. You fucking straight I am. I used to back in the day, back when I was trying to act more female than I am.
Right.
I used to tell people, that's Miss Bitch to you. We're not tight like that. And they'd be like, look at me like that, and then they'd start laughing, and then the whole thing would be dissolved. It was always funny. It was always a good chill out joke.
Nice.
Hey, that's Miss Bitch to you, motherfucker. We ain't tight like that. Yeah, I always say that to people if I'm driving into a parking lot or something, or down a driveway, and there's people walking around. They go like, they step aside real quick, and I always go, I ain't gonna hit you, man. We ain't even cool like that yet. I don't know you that way. And they think about it, and they start laughing. I'm like, why would you hit somebody you don't know? And they're like, oh yeah, that's true. And I'm like, so I figure if we don't know each other, then we're both safe. So I'm gonna go now. Have a great day. I don't want to know you. I might want to hit you.
Please don't introduce yourself.
Yeah. I used to do that when I was in a truck. That's where it all started. I was a spotter driver at Amazon. And oh yeah, it was insane. It was fucking insane. Like 100. One day I moved 103 trailers in less than 7 hours and like 10 minutes or something like that. Anyways, it was an insane yard to work in. It was really tight. There was trucks everywhere, and you're in that little spotter truck, and you're flying around and trying to get around these idiots, and they're fucking around and like kicking their tire in the middle of the fucking parking lot. You're like, go, get the fuck out. Anyway, so I'd be driving through there pretty quick because, you got to fucking move the trailers fast. And a truck driver would like step out and I hit the brakes, and they'd look at me and I'd go, I don't know you, man. I can hit you. Like that's where it all started. And then it just rolled into a joke after that I kept. It's
That's
just
great.
my own joke. Nobody else really laughs at it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty,
I just, why not have fun with it? Somebody's gonna call you a bitch. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, it's Mr. Bitch to you. That's what it
yeah,
is.
well, it's sometimes you have to embrace the
Got
shit.
sirens.
You
I'm
know?
gonna mute.
Yeah, embrace the dick and the bitch. Yeah, if that's,
Yeah,
I mean,
embrace
if
it
that's who
because
you are, then just fucking admit it. That's my thing. Don't act
no,
like you're something you're not. Just be
no,
yourself.
but
Just be an asshole.
here's the thing though. Even if people see you that way, it's kind of fun to play the role in their heads because it's like
Yeah.
it's not you, but if
Yeah.
you can gain something out of it and be funny at it, might as well do it.
Yeah,
So it's
why
like,
not?
it again, mental health thing. Now, again, I'm not saying to go be a prick and a dick everywhere because that's not going to
No.
get you anywhere. But,
No.
I'm just saying, have fun with the negativity that people try to throw at you because, again, it more reflects them than you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, no, you're absolutely correct.
I don't know. I've been into psychology lately, so I guess that stems from my past as well. So, that's why the whole hackers can be good shrinks does fit,
Well,
At
this
least
is
with me, it does.
where Mac and I mute and shut the fuck up, and we let Marty talk.
Oh, so I hear you're into psychology.
Yeah, there we go. I'll be
Tell
back.
me
No, I'm
more.
kidding.
No, but you're right. I mean, to the point that you guys were making, like, owning shit and diffusing situations. It's like one of my favorite things to do is to make myself the asshole of stories and then mock outrage, right? Like here's an example. So I test participants, and some of them are more brassy than others. And the way that I tamper them down is I'll just look at them and I'll be like, "Don't you yell at me." And then they crack up laughing. And then any kind of weird leveraging it just dissolves. I'm like, "Don't you yell at me. I get paid to do this." And then they're like, "Oh, they just think it's the funniest thing that, them trying to boss you around just got completely blown away because I just kind of was like, 'Hey, stop that. Oh, you." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for me, what I understand is that you sort of have to play the mental mindfucker things where you're giving them what they want, but at the same time, you're also proving your point. It's kind of like mental gymnastics in some ways. I don't know how to explain it because I'm not, I guess, good with the type of language to explain that. But I had to do that so many times where they think they got me, but then they really didn't, because all I did was just taking the power away from them and just diffusing it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because you hijack their energy, right? They're like, if they're saying, like, "Oh, you're such a dick," like, "Oh, of course I am, and a big one too."
Yeah, man. You didn't know that? Everybody else knows that. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's how I am. I actually had something like that similar happen recently. So I was dating this chick. We're at a pool. Her friends were there. We meet them at the pool, right? A friend of theirs house. And everybody's in the pool. I didn't want to get in, and I didn't have any clothes with me for it or whatever. So I was just hanging out. They had a couple dogs. I'm playing with the dogs. Well, this guy that her friend's dating is this fucking drug dealer, and he's got like a bunch of like prison tats on him. He's Hispanic. He thinks he's a big badass because he sells like cocaine or something. I don't know. He's one of those guys, right? And so they were like, "God, it's fine in the water, but when you get out, man, it's fucking cold out." And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's about to storm, you dumbasses are in the water. I'm sitting over here underneath the tree, waiting for the rain." So I didn't say anything at that point. And so they were like, "Get out," his girlfriend, come on, get out. And he's like, "Oh, it's cold." And I said, "It's all right, man. Come on, you can get out. Well, we all know it's the cold." He didn't like that. He was being so cocky, I had to make a joke. So he just looks at me and he's like, "Where'd you get those tats, man?" And I was like, "At a tattoo shop." And he was like, "Oh, they're whack, bro." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess, yeah, they could be whack for you. You don't understand the meaning behind them. You're not me, I can see where," I said, "I don't know what the meaning is behind yours. So I could see where that could be whack." And he just looked at me. And I just turned around and walked away. I took all his power away. Oh, he fucking hated me after that. Oh, that was like the final straw. We spoke like 5 sentences to each other the entire time. And by the end of it, he wanted to like snap my neck. And I didn't give a fuck. And he said something about, somebody said something about, what are you doing? He goes, something about punch a lesbian in the mouth. And then this is the funny thing, right? His girlfriend looks at him, and me and the chick I'm dating and her best friend, we all just crack. I was just standing there like this, leaning up against a tree with a beer in my hand, drinking a beer. And I was like, all right, man. And I just kept drinking the beer. Like I didn't even flinch. Oh, he was pissed. And then he gave his fucking girlfriend an earful for like 4 hours after they left. He would not. And I was like, see, that's why you don't give someone else your power. Did I go home and was I mad at him? No. I went to my girl's house. We had sex, hung out, watched some TV. You know, I had a great night. Didn't bother me a bit.
Yeah.
And I turned that shit around on him. And I will do
like
it every fucking time.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. It's the art of, so what is it? I think it's the Buddhists or the Taoists that they're, pain, life is pain. But not all pain has to be suffering. Right? You can accept that life is going to bring pain. But it is up to you to determine whether that pain turns into suffering. And so like that seems to fit exactly what you're saying. Like, hey man, somebody's bruising my ego. Well, fuck. I get to determine whether that fucks my day up or not. Like when I walk over something that hurts my foot, it hurts my foot for that 1 second and I stop thinking about it. Right? I don't think about like, oh fuck, who put that rock on the sidewalk and hurt my foot? No, it was a bit of pain and then it went and stopped. It wasn't suffering. I think that could be applied to interactions as well.
True. And this happened with me too recently, and this was around religious people. Like the only thing in the world I like more is of being around religious people and them trying to put me in a box to see where I fit. So they're like, "So what religion are you? You're Hispanic, so you must be Christian." I'm like, "Nope." It's like, "Are you Buddhist? No. Are you Muslim? No." And one literally told me that, "What the fuck are you?" I'm like, "Whatever the fuck you think I am, motherfucker."
Yeah, because whatever your opinion is, you're going to have it whether I say anything or not.
Yeah, and then the other person says, "Well, you pick one or you're going to hell." I'm like, "I'm already there. I'm already in hell." It's like, I'm enjoying it. Don't give a shit,
Don't get me wrong, it's okay, but I'm already here, so.
I'm already in. Earth is hell.
That's what I've been saying. That's why I've never believed in hell. I'm like, no, their definition of hell is bullshit. All you have to do is go out and live a life. And you're already getting punished for doing nothing wrong.
Yeah,
so
and I'm like,
this is
I'm like, here's the thing though. Like I tell them, well, and then somebody told me, "Do you believe in God?" And I'm like, well, the only reason I'm still here is because somebody doesn't want me to die. So it's like, doesn't fucking matter if I believe in God or I don't believe in God. I am who I am. I raise hell. I'm already in hell. I accepted my fate. Think whatever you want of me. And then I laughed at their face and they just looked at me like this weird shit, like this extraterrestrial bullshit. And I just walked and laughed at them because I'm like, you just wasted like what, 20 minutes of your time and you got from me absolutely nothing.
And you're getting none of that 20 minutes back in your life. There's no redeemable refund. No,
there's no redeemable refund. But at least I'm gonna make fun of religious people and troll them at their expense. So
I'm saying they just wasted their time. Yeah,
absolutely. And also because here's the thing with me. Apart from psychology, the way I look at religion is this: every little religion, even if it's atheist to some degree, it's like an echo, a chamber of sorts.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying atheism is a religion. Some people can make that argument as well, because it's still a belief that there is no something. Yeah. So with me, it's this. I learn any little thing, because this goes back to what I said earlier. I learn from anything, from anybody, depending on the circumstances and depending of the scenario. When it comes to religion and politics, I spend a little time here, a little time there, a little here and a little here. But I take away myself out of the chamber. Because I stay too long, it's like you're not getting the full perspective of everything.
Right.
So And I spend time in Taoism, Buddhism, Christianity, Muslim, Judaism, Buddhism, every fucking religion you could ever imagine. I even read some 2, 3 Scientology books, and I
Oh,
don't like
really?
Scientology one. I don't like Scientology one bit.
Bet you that was some deep
So
shit, wasn't it? Ooh.
no, well, that was a mind fuck in itself, and it's
That's
really
what I
bullshit.
meant. Like they literally mind fuck people. Like I wouldn't even want to read it just in case it worked. Like I don't want to be that guy.
Now, to clarify, I never have been in any Scientology bullshit. These books were given to me by a former person who was in that. And
Okay.
I know they're going to be looking at this and they're like, oh, motherfucker has been in Scientology. Ding, 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 ding. No, never been.
No. Have you ever talked to Chris Shelton?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I've never spoken.
Oh, he's an ex-Scientologist, and he has just look up Chris Shelton, just like you'd think it would be spelled, Shelton. So he has his own YouTube show, and he talks about Scientology, unless people like call in and ask questions, and he just bears it. I don't know where he's hiding at, but he must have a really good location. They don't know where he is because he talks shit about them all the time. He will tell you anything. He doesn't give a fuck. So
I think he's in Clearwater. I think he is right in Scientology Central.
He's got some balls, doesn't he?
That's wow. like how do you say that? Flag. That's where
Flagship.
Is, I think.
That's Flag. Yep.
Yeah, because and the only reason I know a little bit about it is because the Leah Remedy show, and then what the community of Anons did back in 08 with Project Challenge, which at that time I was not even near the 4chan. I was still on my own little world, but I remember speaking. Now in this last year, I've spoken to people who were in that, and they tell me what happened and all this other stuff. So that's the only reason why I know a little bit. And also the books that this former member gave me that I read, and I read them out of my own fucking curiosity. It was Dianetics, and it was this other book that I can't remember, because I said I'll keep Dianetics, but I'll take this shit back. I don't want it. That's what I literally told them. So, and that's the only reason why I know.
And L. Ron Hubbard is weirdly fascinated with abortions.
He is, and he's a weird fuck. Just
really? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, read his books. What is Scientology and Dianetics?
Yeah, see, I don't care. Here's the problem I have, Monty. I don't care enough about other people's religions to read about them. I just don't do it. People are like, have you read the Bible? And I'm like, no, I'm a fucking agnostic atheist. I don't know what the fuck I am, but I don't believe what you believe. No, I haven't read the Bible. If I was going to read the Bible, you notice the only people in the atheist community that have really read the Bible are people that went to school for it and then said, oh, fuck this, I'm an atheist now. Like, those are the people in the community that have thoroughly read the fucking Bible.
Well,
most of them have got, I'd say maybe only 3/4 of them went to school for it, but there's a lot. We have a lot of people in our community that went to school and then said, this is fucking bullshit, and started disproving shit instead of going along with it.
Well, here's the shit with me. I never went to school for that shit, and I read it. And the only reason I read it was just to make sense of it. I read every fucking religious book you could ever imagine. So I do that just to get a sense. I read the Quran back to back, in 2 weeks, 2 week sitting, just reading it first and then reading it again and just picking it apart. Same thing with any book that I've had. And this go even in just hacking terms as well. If there was books about it or, all that, I would do that as well. I guess this is just how I studied in a sense, So that's how I carry myself in that.
Were you finding value in those books?
Sometimes, sometimes I find value in it. Sometimes I don't. Whatever I find, I apply it to myself, and what I don't, I just don't.
The difficult part with that question is you can find value in almost anything, right? Depending on how creative you are, a recipe for pound cake are the instructions to life. You need to balance the leavening agents with the fat and the cream or in the sweet. And if you have an open enough interpretation, anything has value in it. So like finding value in pieces of religious books just doesn't cut the mustard, right? They're
Shit.
good literature if you want to just put it like that. But that's as far as it
Oh
goes
yeah,
for me.
some of it
Yeah,
is
that's
good literature.
true.
And
That is true.
as far as that goes, secularity, that is pretty much exactly how I feel. There's only one theist I ever like to listen to, and that's my brother, because at least it's fucking different and interesting. It's not the same shit that every pastor has said for the last fucking 200 goddamn years. And I'm so sick of that shit and what all the Christians say. That's one of the reasons you guys notice I don't bring up atheism versus religion on my stream. I don't. Because I really don't want to fucking talk about it. I just don't give a shit. If my brother comes in here or someone wants to discuss it, I'll talk about it, of course. But I don't bring it up. And if my brother wants to come in and talk about it, I will listen to him and, you know, okay, well, that's different. I haven't heard that before. Oh, really? Okay, well, I mean, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, it would make more sense than what the Christians say. And that's pretty much all I do. But I'm never going to go spend my life reading a book. I don't even want to read the books that I'm interested in. Never mind the books that I don't give a flying shit about. Just not.
For me, it's
I'm
the
not.
origin story, right? For just like comic books. Like the best part about comic books for me is the origin story. How did you get your superpowers, right? And for religions, it's like the same thing. Scientology is the slippery snake, though, because you never figure out what the fuck the foundational premises are
That's true. That is true.
until you
I
become
mean,
operating
when-
Thetan 3, and then the fucking Xenu story comes out. But that's like, that hits you out of left field, man. Like reactive mind, a clear
Yeah.
mind. Hey, this kind of sounds
yeah,
good.
and also you lose a shitload of money. So it's like, is it really worth going through all that? In my opinion, hell no. But a
Well-
lot of people went through that and they lost virtually their homes and all this other bullshit.
There are ex-Scientologists that still use the technology untethered from Scientology itself.
That is true. I've heard of at least one or two people that did it. And the only reason I know about it's because, you know, some of them have YouTube channels. I don't remember their names, ironically, but
There's a specific name for them, for Scientologists who practice the technology but not under the official domain of Scientology. I forget. There is a specific name for it. But
They're
anyway,
called
There is.
squirrels.
yeah, I think so.
I think
Mine-
no, a
squirrels.
squirrel. No, so if I remember correctly, a squirrel pre-internet days, right? When the internet first was, let's keep in mind, when the internet first started, Scientology attempted to use its power of suing on the internet until it just realized it couldn't, right? And then they just stopped allowing Scientologists to go online. But originally, when Scientologists would go over either ex or anti-Scientologists, they would call the ex-Scientologists squirrels, whether or not they maintained the technology. And their main line was they would confront them in real life and say, "What are your crimes? What are your crimes? Stop trying to talk about the crimes of Scientology. What are your crimes?" Right? And that was the best part. So I've been into Scientology as a non-Scientologist for a while. But yeah, the squirrels specifically referred to ex-Scientologists that try to expose Scientology, if I remember correctly. I'm happy to be corrected on that.
Gotcha. So what are the ones that are still doing the tech but aren't
It's
Scientologists?
something like offliners. They're offliners, or
Right.
it's like some word that connotes detachment.
Outliers, I think.
Blasphemenetic, Theo? Is that a real word? It might be. Who knows? Or you just could, well, knowing Theo, you probably made it up, but it might be real.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. I mean, the people that it is sort of blasphemy, those that try to practice it outside the scope of that little mind fuck of what it, well, let's call it for what it is, a cult.
Yes.
You know, and it's fucked up. The shit that I've read and the shit that I keep hearing, the stories, it's just, it's sad, really. And the fact of the matter that it's still going, it's just, it's not as strong as before, but you can't help yourself to thinking, you know, why
Right.
does it still exist, you know? And the fact
Yeah.
that they still have
Because
that tag, that tax exempt status. That's what fucks me, like right there.
But that's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah.
They strong armed their way into getting tax exempt status by spamming and suing people in the department of the IRS, right? Like they literally sat down for a meeting, and the Scientologist said, as soon as you give us religious exemption, all of the harassment stops. And the dudes were like, are you serious? You have it. Like they had been torturing them and harassing them to such an extent that they just said
Oh my
flat out,
God.
like, this will stop as soon as you give us what we want. And then or whatever it was, the IRS or whatever, Department Treasury, whatever. They were like,
Just
yes,
said, fuck
absolutely.
it, fine.
Please,
Fine.
anything to make it stop. Because these are just like, nobodies that are getting like harassed with like emails and potential litigation. And they're just like, I'm just doing my fucking job, dude.
Yeah, I mean that's the saddest part too. It's like it will mean we were talking about trolls and the harassment on the internet earlier, and like what they do. It's like the grand scale of the grand scale to some degree, and it's just really sad.
But
And it's
go ahead.
it's they do it for two reasons. They do it to prove a point to the ex-members, but also to the current members, saying, "This is what we're gonna do
Yep.
if you step out of line with us."
This is what will happen to you if you
Mhm.
disobey.
Yep.
Exactly, and that's just sick. Like even just explaining that out makes me nauseous.
But to get back to your point, like, why does it still exist? I mean, the simplest answer is the most sad. It's because people are still getting something from it.
I was going to say, because people are still using it as a crutch. That's what I believe. I believe most people are in some form of religion because of a crutch. Not everybody, but I'm going to say, I want to say more than 75 or 80% of them are.
Or
It's a crutch for them.
maybe
It's either a sense of community, or it's the feeling like there's something bigger because your life sucks, or wanting to feel like there's something after this, because who the fuck wants to die? I mean, really, that's just shitty. Unless you're like in hospice and you don't give a fuck anymore, or you're really suicidal. Like, nobody wants to die. You flip the switch, you're done. That's it. No more electricity, no more life, and that's the end of it. So yeah, it would be nice to think, oh, there's something after this. Yeah, sure. I just can't fucking believe that, though. I would love to believe that. I would love to believe that after this, I'm going to be even better than I am now, and that I get to go help people. Like, that's my fucking dream. I would love for someone just to feed me and give me clothes and a place to live, and I can just go help people for free. That'd be like the best thing in the world for me. I would love that. I don't need to earn a paycheck. I just need food and shit.
We can open this up to a bigger discussion, because this condition will always happen, because it's the human condition. People are always going to have down times. They're always going to be downtrodden. At those times, they're going to be the most vulnerable and impressionable. And
that's what they go after.
And it's not just, and if it's not them, it's someone else.
Well, it's
right?
just like I grew up
it's like
out in
the white supremacist. Wait a second. A while ago, just recently, like, white supremacists were canvassing a local neighborhood, offering help for something. I forget what it was, but it was like a humanitarian thing. Like, hey man, if you're down and out, we can help. And it's just like, oh man, seriously, like the most blatant and disgusting version of taking advantage of someone while they're down. Fucking white supremacists, like, hey man, you need some food? We have a food bank or some shit like that. Right?
it's emotional manipulation. That's what.
Oh, absolutely, it is. They're waiting till people are at the bottom of the fucking barrel. That's like the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses and shit. Mostly Jehovah's Witnesses going out in the country to where we lived. Like, our neighbors were a mile in either direction. No one lived around us. We had a 35-acre farm, and the people around us owned like multiple hundreds of acre farms. There was nothing out there. And they would come out there and start preaching. And the only thing I could think of is you in the military. Oh, let's go prey on the poor people that live out in the country and are uneducated. That's what they fucking do. Them in the military.
And then
all day
it's
long.
not even that. Like, let's take it away from the religious aspect a little bit. Like, let's put it in this context of gangs. You know, the gangs in the inner cities, the ghettos, and even
Yeah.
overseas. You go to Central America, South America, there's gangs, there's, you know, all these little niche. They do that.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
they
everywhere.
they use your literal sense of just your conditions, and they go and they don't tell you necessarily. Sometimes they go after
Right.
closest to you, which ends up being your kids. And they would tell the kid, hey, listen, you want to make a couple money, you want to get out of poverty, you know, I can help you out, but come work for me.
Right.
And then from there it comes to this whole thing where then the kid becomes who ultimately they become, and they become ruthless, and they become all these other things. You know, they use emotional manipulation, and they use the desperation of money. And
Yes.
that's a lethal combination, if you ask me.
Oh,
Which is
absolutely.
which is why a lot of young kids, especially the ones that are in Central America, like El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, they get entrapped in the gang life so early that by the time they're 16, they come immigrating to the U.S. to escape when they realize that it's not what it's all made out to be. This is
Ah.
why there is a huge migration, a huge influx of people coming here for all sorts of reasons.
Oh,
But
of course, yeah.
that's one of the main reasons. It's because either the kids got involved in that life so early. The other one is you can't have a business without getting taxed by them. This is a thing because I've seen it
Mhm.
with my own eyes, and all these other types of things. So the emotional but to bring it all back into this, emotional blackmail, emotional manipulation comes from the psychology standpoint of narrative, or just narrative to the helplessness of self, or
Hmm.
some shit like that. I don't want to sound too fancy because I don't know.
Real quick, Ox, to answer your question, he's on a train heading home.
He does look like he's on the plane.
It does look plane-esque. It must be a nice train.
That's
So
Amtrak. It's Amtrak.
I
It's
knew
not
it.
local.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
It's got
Oh,
nice
okay.
seats. They got
Yeah, it's
Wi-Fi
definitely not a
sometimes.
subway. Not that
It
kind of
isn't.
train.
It is not. It's not like a New York subway. It's all dingy
No.
and shit.
I've
Now,
been in a New York subway, and it is really, yeah, you don't really want to touch anything, but you have to. You'll fall over.
oh yeah, the bumpiness.
Yeah.
I call the New York trains the bump because
The
it's like
bump.
getting is yeah because it bumps
It
like a
does.
motherfucker. And there's so many people in rush hour too. It's like what the fuck is this? But you're bumping into one another, so it's like fuck it. It's like
I
the
was there
bump
for a
road.
week, and I was there with my ex-girl at the time, and her sister's a cop in Brooklyn, and so we stayed at her place, and we walked everywhere and got on the subway, and she like showed me all around and cool spots, and we went to the cathedral, like we did all that shit. It was great. It was a great experience. It's not any place I would ever want to visit consistently, but it was really nice to see it. I don't like big cities. I'm country. I need space and quiet, and I can't sleep. I feel trapped, squished. Ugh. I don't know if it's part of my claustrophobia, or maybe it's that in combination with growing up out in the country. You know.
Maybe with me, it's this. Like I could be in the city, no problem. But sometimes it just for me, I like to go into the rural area and just have a hammock and my beer and just be just not thinking shit. Just
Right.
be in the own cabin of the middle of nowhere, but just leaves and forest and all this bullshit in the mountains,
You
and
and I could be
just
best
drink.
friends. You know, if you ever come to
we
where
were
I'm
not
at,
there.
if you ever come anywhere near me, you have to come visit me. We would have
Eh,
you'd have a blast out here. It's
eh.
just there's nothing here. We're backed up to a huge pasture that has longhorn bulls and cows go through, and they got these fucking long ass horns, and it's really cool to see. And the kids love it. So if one of us see it, we'll text cows are in, you know. So we go out and look. And there's nothing behind us over here. Like I'm kind of stuck in a little weird spot here because they were like, well, you can park on our place and we'll only charge you this much, but I don't really want to like ruin the view. And I was like, okay. So I parked over on the right side of the garage so they really can't see much of me or my truck, and I don't block anything. I literally like parked back in a corner. So they think it because it's beautiful. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to ruin it either. No, it's not a meth trailer, Theo. But there's just nothing. There's nothing out here, and it's fucking beautiful, and it's quiet. And sometimes when I shut off everything and I go to bed, it's too quiet. Like the silence hurts my ears because
Wow.
it gets. If the cats lay down and they're totally quiet, the silent, like all I'll hear is I'll hear like the fan on my laptop sometimes or the refrigerator humming. And they're both very quiet and I have horrible hearing, but I'll hear that. That's something I normally don't hear because it's so fucking awesome. And the stars, oh my God, because we're at 7,500 feet and there's no light pollution where I'm at. It's fucking amazing. You can see everything. Every fucking star. It's just
Fun.
absolutely beautiful. And you can hear the coyotes howling at night and it doesn't, like the first time it happened, I was like, what the fuck? You know, I didn't know. It was like snowy out and there's like a foot of fucking snow on the ground. I'm up on top of a mountain at like 11,000 feet or 10,005 maybe up on the fucking mountain. And all I hear is coyotes and I'm freezing my ass off. It was my first night here. And I was like, what the fuck did I come here? But then when I
And
came
you
down off the
too
mountain
can book a
and
trip
and
to
the
be
snow
no
melted
just be.
away. Yeah, no, it's fucking amazing out here, man. I think everybody should live out here.
Yeah,
Everybody
you're
here's
like
really
doing a commercial for your
open-minded.
crib, man.
No, seriously, dude, it's so cool. Like this whole environment, the city I live outside of it. Everybody's just so cool. They're all like, "Are
Sounds
you a
great.
dick? No, okay." They just
Here's
don't
a beer.
care. Like I'm transitioning and I'm open about it at work. And I always went by B, and then I started giving my new name because I'm going down this week and I'm gonna go file the paperwork with the courts and change my name. And so I started using my new name to get everybody kind of used to it, you know. And the girls in the office totally have my back. And if someone
Nice.
says she, they're like, no, that's not correct. And they're like, what? No, it's not correct anymore. And they're like, oh, okay. Like it's that's what I get all day long. It's everybody's like, oh,
Awesome.
or I'm talking on the
Awesome.
phone and they're like, why'd you use that name? Isn't this B? I recognize your voice. And I'm like, yeah, it's me. I picked a new name. Oh, why did you pick a new name? I'm transitioning. Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Like I'd be hung in Ohio where I used to live. I could never just say it like that. But here you can.
It's funny
Yeah,
because
It's really open-minded here. It's amazing.
it's funny because recently I've always said that I wanted to understand the trans community a lot more. You know, because there's very little representation of it. I believe
Agreed.
that people don't really understand the full, I guess, concept of what a trans person in general just goes through. I mean, there is movies like Boys Don't Cry, which I already saw, and these other media representations. But then, how I look at it is they're media representations. Like one thing
Well,
is
and
screen, the other thing is the real thing. You know.
it's funny you should say that because I was actually just talking to Ben and some other people, and I haven't started it yet because Ben's been really busy, and I want him to be part of it as well. But I wanted to start doing like every 2 weeks. I want to do one night of a trans stream where people can come in the chat and ask questions, and you know the people that want to come up and answer whatever, or if they want to come in the panel and they don't have to say anything if it's uncomfortable to them, then they don't have to, kind of thing. Because I want to answer questions for people. I want to teach people. One of the providers where I work today had a patient come in and the patient said, I want to transition. I want to start on testosterone. So she comes out and she always calls me Mr. B. And she goes, Mr. B. And I said, yeah. She said, come here for a second. I said, okay. So I walk over into the kitchen area and where all the shots are and everything. And she's drawn up a flu shot and she goes, okay, you got to tell me, how do I do this? I have a trans patient. What do I do? And she asked me, and I told her, this is how you do this, you do that. You can start them on this to this, you know, based off of what their labs look like, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, thank you. We'll talk more about that later. I need to learn more. And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm just
here's
expanding
the-
minds. I have no trouble doing that. She told one of her, there's a one that is a FTM patient that was on testosterone before and backed off from it and kind of wanted to wait. and now they are 21 and want to restart it. And she told them, if you have any questions or you call this office for anything, ask for B. He's got you. And so I saw the kids standing outside, and the parent was doing their appointment. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I like fist bumped him, And I knew his name, so I called him by his name, and I said, "I'm Beck." And he said, "Oh, it's nice to meet you." And I said, "Yeah, formerly," and I used my dead name. And they go, "Oh," he goes, "Oh, it's really nice to meet you." So I said, "If you need anything, you let me know." And he said, "Yeah, that's what Heather said." And I said, "Okay, cool." And I just went back inside. So, I've always advocated for helping younger people who need an ear that's not mom, dad, or aunt, or someone at the school, and they don't have a safe person to go to. So I've always been that person everywhere I've lived. So I think now it's just time for me to help younger kids in the trans community. Even though I'm new to this is something I've been thinking about and have been stuck in this loop of hell for 35 years. So for me, I'm all about talking about it. I'm finally at a place where I feel free. I'm going to be free about it. And I don't give a fuck what somebody asks. I told some people aren't comfortable with it. I'll answer anything. I don't give a fuck.
That's commendable in a sense, because it
was
No.
well, that's a long story, Ben. We'll talk about it later. I was going to answer Ben's question. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. It's commendable because the way I got myself, I guess, into the know, like I've been around the LGBT community in my city, and I would see how disenfranchised really the trans community is in my city.
Right.
That,
come on, guys.
The transphobia even within the LGBT shocked me a little bit. So I was like, that's weird.
Oh yeah, it's there. It
is there. It does exist, but it's just weird, right? Until then, I started meeting like a trans woman, and then I met somebody who has a kid who has a trans son, who, who's just been given hell. Like, and the mother always stands up and defends him because that's her son. And at one point, I remember me having this conversation with her, and I'm like, I would like to learn more to be less ignorant, to not just take from what I've seen, but also learn from what they go through so I can understand better, because I've never really understood why the trans community was so disenfranchised and why they get so much hate. And this is just in general, because I've seen them.
Isn't it weird that that some of the LGBTQ community will do that though? Isn't it strange?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, this is what it's like to me. I was with my ex-girlfriend and we were walking somewhere and we stopped outside a shop and she was going to go in and I was going to walk to the next shop over and I kissed her. And this black couple came out of the shop right when I kissed her and they were like, you're going to go to hell. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, you're wrong. This is all kind of wrong thing. And I was like, of all people to be prejudiced.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? Do you live in like a neighborhood where like you're all like richer POCs and you don't understand that people, like, I didn't even know. I just looked at them and I kind of like pushed her on the back a little bit so she walked in the store and I started walking away and I turned around and watched and made sure they got in their car and left. And I didn't even say anything. I just said, are you seriously, did you just say that to me?
Yeah. And that's
you're going to go to hell. And I said, all right.
And that's why I remember this one incident where I was in a restaurant. This was like when I was about 19 or 20 years old. And I think it was like a dating situation where I think the woman revealed to her date that she was originally a man, and her date completely lost it and pretty much berated her in public, calling her a he. And I'm sitting there like, why? And I cussed him out for it because I'm like, you know what? And that's enough is enough. If you don't like her, that's fine and whatever. But it's like, you don't have to cause a scene. I mean, if they came out to you, they were being honest with you, and it's like
Yeah.
it's sort of disrespectful for you to like lash out for
Totally childish too. Misgendering people is totally
it
dumb
is.
and like
It is.
playground.
And
Yeah,
the
it's
Playground
fact
just
that you're
assault.
doing it
society
in
making
public.
a deal about this shit anyways. It doesn't fucking matter at the end of the day. It's
So
fucking
dumb.
white fucking male privilege shit that started a long time ago, and now it's bled into where we are in society today. And here we are still with this shit about we gotta
Word.
prove that we're men and we're not women thing. No one gives a
Yeah.
fuck anywhere else. It's just here. It's just fucking nobody gives a fuck. I mean, well, there's other
so
societies where
dumb.
they're really fucked up about it, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
More
Right.
progressive societies, they don't worry about that shit.
No.
Hey,
And
maybe all
that's
fuzzy
why
cat.
and the cat.
Here we go.
But that's why I kind of all these things that I've seen, I was kind of like, you know what? I want to understand to the point where I can really talk to anybody from the community and just understand how they went through things. Because I think as a whole, for me, the trans community needs a better representation because they just don't get enough. You
Yeah,
know,
Word.
and I
so
can say that about a lot of communities, and I'm gonna absolutely 100% agree with you.
so that's why, and also because I met this person who has a trans son, I'm like, there needs to be better representation for the new generation like him. So, because in the age of Brandon Tino, who, that's where Boys Don't Cry was based out of, as track, as tragedy as that crime was, you know, because he lived in an era where all this was just considered sin and died for it, in a sense. But it's all came to now where you're still fighting for it, but at least in some places it's become more accepted. You know, it still needs to be improved where that no longer gives a shit, at least here in America,
Right.
but we're not there yet. But it makes me sad sometimes that Brandon couldn't be living in today's generation and be exactly who he was.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That upsets me. And that's where, again, I go back to this kid. I'm like, the trans community needs better representation for kids like him. So they don't have to be constantly bullied because of how they are, if that makes any sense. You
Yeah.
know? So that's why I kind of wanted to inform myself. So you can call this me being an ally in a sense. I don't know if this is
Yeah.
actually a good term for it, but it's like
No, you are being an
it,
ally just by wanting to talk about it. Absolutely.
but at the same time it's like, it's for him and for everybody else who goes through that. So they don't have to be alone. Because again, in the trans community, from what I understood, I can be wrong and you can correct me, one of the first cases of, deaths within trans is still suicide. And that needs to be
Oh.
dropped.
Oh, it's the percentage is not good. It's bad.
Yeah. It's
And
very
it's mostly kids that are living in an environment that they can't be themselves. And it happens
yeah.
over and over again. And that's why, thankfully, the insurance companies are starting to take more seriously trans care. And there's places that are being assholes, like Texas and fucking Ohio now had to make a goddamn law that they're not going to help with the insurance companies or something like that aren't going to help with like transitioning healthcare or something. It's fucking ridiculous. I don't even know how it's fucking legal. And if they leave that there, I'm going to be so fucking pissed off. But anyways, no, there is a high suicide rate. But in my book,
There's also
if it's
a high murder
anything,
rate.
if they're let's not even go there yet. That's a whole nother rabbit hole, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it like this. Anywhere in society, any area, any genre of people, whatever you want to call it, you're going to have Ben, I told you earlier it was an open stream. I put the link
I
in.
know. I was gonna eat,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I didn't
I
want to
thought
eat,
you were
and
confused like
so
Randolph was. Anyway,
no, I was
so
just hanging out.
no, that's cool. Where was I? God damn ADD shit. I hate it when I fucking do that. was my buddy. I had to say hi. I interrupted myself.
Last thing that you said was if kids are living in an area.
Oh yeah, that is not a healthy environment for them. You're going to have that. If you have, let's say you have, I know where I'm going now. Let's say you have that common suicide rate in any group of people, everywhere, different groups of people. Let's say 1 in 5,000 commit suicide. If that's just an average because somebody's lost their shit, okay, that's just an average. But when you look at the gay community and the trans community and stuff and see the percentages are much higher, I have a fucking problem with that. These kids need more help. Bottom fucking line. And there's lots of adults that need more help too.
I think an overall education needs to be done because of what I said earlier. The trans community is so misrepresented that there should be a way of better representation so numbers like that drop, and then more acceptance, at least here in America, can be a little bit more better for the newer generation. I mean, my generation and the older generations, it's already, we already been made. But the newer generation needs a fighting chance at least.
Well, that's honestly, that's where I have the biggest amount of hope. I am 50 years old now. I've seen a lot of shit. I was very attentive by the time I was 10 to what was going on in the world. And so much has changed with our younger generations. They're more skeptical, they're more logical, and every generation that gets popped out is just, it's getting stronger and stronger. And soon those people that are like keeping the swamp filled they're not going to be allowed to be there anymore because people are getting fed up with shit. And the younger generations are more informed. They see all the hate. They see all this shit. They're raised to be accepting of other people more than any other generation. And I feel like that happens every generation. That's just how it is. And so we're getting there. We're not going to see it. And Ben's kids aren't going to see it. If Ben has kids, I don't know if that's a goal or not. I didn't mean to assume that.
Mac said something in the chat. I did release a video today on the Ohio health provision, so you can go watch that. I just talk about how it's a violation of medical ethics. So
it is.
Go watch it. It'll be great.
It is.
Thank you, Andrew, for giving me the link. I'll definitely read that. And I'll watch that video too, also, Ben, as well. I need something to do. Anyway,
if for anybody that doesn't know what Ben does, Ben does silly sims sometimes, and Ben does beer and bros with me, but Ben also does a lot of debunking videos, and just to be clear, this is a third-year med student that gets it out of a book and then makes it simpler for everybody. He's not making this shit up. It's straight from what they're teaching doctors.
And sometimes I don't even make it simplified. I literally just say what the actual process is and just break it down into smaller pieces. So
there you go.
Like it's the same information. Like I'm not taking things out for you all. Like it's the actual stuff that we learn. So
yeah. But no, it's some good shit, and you guys should check it out. He's on Twitch and YouTube.
I just did one tonight with Secular Rarity. We debunked alien cults, and that was a trip. It was.
Yeah, I need to go watch that. Speaking of which,
it was a trip. There was a lot. We still don't know what happened to the Eve the baby clone or whatever. They had this like frequently asked question that was like, what happened to Eve the cloned baby? And then they never actually mentioned who Eve the cloned baby is or what happened. They just avoided the question. So go watch that because it was wild.
I also heard that student Dr. Ben can do a perfect backflip while holding a cup of water without spilling a drop.
I cannot do that.
Shrug.
I cannot do that.
But that's
my
what
dexterity is
heard.
awful. My dexterity is awful. Also, stool. I need to do an Indian food mukbang sometime when you're in the chat, but I need to know when you're going to be in my chat so I can order the food ahead of time. A trip to where? A trip to the embassy that we're building.
Into which planet?
No, well, we're going to Earth but there's an embassy that needs to be built on this planet so that we are welcoming to our alien overlords. There's a lot that happened in this cult video. Like, you just gotta go watch it to find out what I mean by all that.
Yep. Gotta go watch it, guys. That's the way it is. Stool, of course you're highly aroused.
Yeah, you
Lots
got
of guys on
I
the
will
screen
do-
right now.
I will do a mukbang with Indian food but I'm waiting for you to be in my chat. I need to make sure that you're there before I do this because I am not complete without Stool in my chat.
Yeah. What Ben said.
Yes.
Damn it.
I mean, I saw earlier that Randolph wanted to join here. So, if Randolph still wants to join, go right ahead. I wanted always to talk to you.
Yeah, come on in, Randolph. Of course, he's like, has projects he's doing and he's like married with kids and, he's got like
of
a
course.
life.
If he has
Unlike
time to
half
do
of
it.
us on here that just like work or go to school and then come on YouTube. Or some of us work while we're at school. Right, Ben?
Yeah, I pay a lot of money to work.
He does. He pays a lot of money to be
Pay a
tortured
lot
by
of money.
attendings and interns.
No, work was brutal. for
Sweet,
me
Randolph.
Randolph.
Excellent, Monty. Thank you for coming by, buddy. I really appreciate you.
Thank
Good
you,
dude.
Matt. Thank you, Maury. I hope we can speak on DM soon.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to, I'll just keep throwing you guys links. If you guys ever want to come in and bullshit, I usually do Monday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 Eastern. And then it runs until midnight Eastern easy. So you guys are always welcome to come on and chat it up. I appreciate all you guys. Well, Randolph, next time that Maldy's coming by, then you just need to, it's usually Monday nights. It's usually when he has time. You need to jump on in here, buddy. So what's new, Ben? How many babies today?
No, I was off today.
Oh,
I did no studying. I did 0.
Really? I'm so proud of you. What'd you do
took
today?
a break today. It was great.
What'd you do? Did you like fuck around? Did you work on that spreadsheet? Did you work on a dungeon?
No, I played The Sims today, but
Did
not
you-
on stream. I just played to play.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And then
cool.
I did my stream with Secular Rarity. Then what else did I? Oh, I finally got my couch replaced because the couch that I had delivered before, the reclining function wasn't working. So I had to get a new one, and it took me like a couple times to schedule this couch to be replaced because like I had the one date set, and then my attending was like, "You're coming in to work that day," so I had to reschedule it. And then the date I had it rescheduled to, they're like, "Okay, well, we don't have any of those couches in stock right now, so we're gonna have to reschedule it again." So finally, I got the couch replaced today, and then I also got my 3-month labs drawn to see where my testosterone's at. So
Good
it's
deal.
my 3 month.
I
on
hate you
Tuesday.
like this much for being 2 months ahead of me. just
You
just a
already
little bit.
had more tea in your system, so be quiet.
Oh my.
Yeah, but your voice is dropping. It sounds really fucking cool now.
Yeah, I have
So
a lot of
fucking
cis
jealous
guys
of
telling me that they wish their voice was as deep as mine.
Hey, you know what the good news is, Ben, is my voice cracked for the first time today at work. It was weird. I was like
Nice.
talking to somebody on the phone. I went,
Nice.
I got off the phone. I said, Marissa, did you hear that? And she goes, what? I said, my voice just cracked. She goes, I missed it. I'm like, so important. How'd you miss that? She's
I
like,
would ideally like a little bit more bass. That'd be
Oh,
fantastic.
you'll get
but-
more.
I mean, I'm content. I'm content being a berry. Like a berry's fine, but like I would like
Yeah,
to be
you'll
a
go a
little,
little
bit more
deeper.
bass. Yeah,
I think I'm going to be like a serious bass by the time this is all over with.
I want to be as bass as I can get, but I'll
Oh,
take.
fuck
whatever.
yeah. Right? Fucking
But it
shut
would
up,
still be
Matt.
nice to
Don't
hit-
say a
it would
word
still-
right now.
Yeah, although Barry like might be better for like
Well, for the singing you do, it might be better.
yeah, because then I can
Yeah.
have kind of the best of both worlds. But I
Also,
still
if you guys want to hear Ben sing, go on to TikTok.
Oh,
And
really?
you
My
can
voice
find
is
him.
stabilizing a bit more now to where like I can actually control it when I sing now, which is nice. I haven't been able to do that super well recently.
What are you on TikTok? Your name?
Torbonado BJJ.
What?
There you go.
That's also my Instagram.
BJJ. Not asking, not kink shaming. Okay, let's move
That's
on.
jiu-jitsu. My Instagram is my Brazilian jiu-jitsu stuff, so that's why
Oh, JJ. Brazilian.
BJJ, yeah.
Jiu-jitsu.
Right.
That makes
Right.
way more sense
Yes.
than where I
Right
was
on.
going with my 12-year-old mind.
It's funny though, and I love it. So my TikTok's linked to my Instagram, so that's why.
I think some people earlier were talking about
What?
my.
Stool, my voice is
Stool
already
is the
sexier than
sexiest
yours,
man
buddy.
alive. I don't know what
hate
you're
to
talking
fucking
about, B.
whatever.
Oh my.
Stool is my man crush, okay?
Mhm.
I think earlier
bullshit.
people.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
think earlier people were asking what were the Japanese characters on the side of my name. The translation is data predator, and there's a reason for that.
Okay, yeah. I would say there is a
alias.
reason.
It's an alias I was given by people in Osaka when I had in the IRC boards.
Oh,
That's where that came from.
cool.
Can I should just find out what the Japanese spelling of like God is an alien and then just put that next to my name everywhere.
God is an alien. Just so we can read
Oh,
it in a
dear.
different language.
I'm just trolling this alien cult way too much. It was way too funny.
Speaking
Oh my
of trolling,
god.
I was just helping my youngest daughter. She doesn't need any help, but somebody just tried to troll her, and they eventually kicked her out of the Discord. And now everyone on the Discord is her friend, and the owner of the Discord brought her back. And she's saying, "Oh, don't kick out the other one. We're gonna have some fun." And she's having fun with them.
Oh, that's great. Good.
It's good. That
I love anti-bullying. I love that shit.
When they try to cyberbully or troll my kids, it always backfires because I've told them what they need to do, and
Yeah,
they
put it right next to the mic.
they do it in their own ways, and it's fantastic. I love hearing the stories. 'Cause what this troll did, they accused her of using drugs. Don't want to hang out with a druggie, kicked her out. So now she's asking them, "What drugs am I using?" Because I would love to know.
Could you please
Right
tell me
on.
the drugs that I'm on? Because I didn't even know where. I wasn't even aware. Is it in food or?
She's got it all handled. It's no problem. But yeah.
Lavender lady, moo to you too.
Hey, the lady I hired to do the roofing, she's putting some of the shingles up today, so we're going to try to finish it tomorrow. So it's
Nice.
moving along. Great, fast progress. She's already got the fascia board up on the side for putting up the troughs for the all that stuff. She's doing
Yeah.
everything. High quality work. I'm really happy with it.
Good.
So-
I told you it was probably a good bet.
This glove is awful. I hate it.
Find you a woman
There we go.
who's meticulous.
You don't want me to do man's work. Okay.
Well, meticulous because women are naturally better at paying attention to details than men. Men have to train themselves to do it. Women just like if you tell a man to go search for something, he's not going to find it 9 times out of 10, but the woman will find it within 2 minutes. Why is
Have you
that?
not heard of OCD? Some guys have it too, you know.
No, that's true. That's true. There are, but I wasn't talking about OCD. I'm just saying that's like
Yeah.
my ex-husband used to. I can't find my wallet, and I'd walk in the living room and see a piece of paper and move it. That
There's my wallet. No, I'm not like that.
that wallet, and he'd go, "Oh yeah," because men are surface lookers. They look at the surface. Women will dig deeper.
Is that how I knew I was
It's
trans?
just nat.
I guess things aren't
Yeah.
quite the same
Surface
here in
man.
Canada, but okay.
I lose everything and I can never find it.
Somewhere down the middle. I don't know. Yeah, I can't.
I
find
can never
anything either.
find. I lose.
I always blame
everything.
that on my ADD though, but I don't know. Maybe it's just
Well, now I can
a
blame
guy
it on
thing.
being a man. So
yeah.
that's nice.
That's my new thing now. It's because I'm a guy.
Definitely
I have a
is.
whole bunch of testosterone in me right now.
I lose
Building it
my
up.
keys, my wallet, and my phone every day, and I just ask my wife where they are, and she always knows.
I lose myself all the time too. Like I
Yeah.
don't do well with directions.
Well,
Not
GPS,
I get lost, but I lose myself. And you
GPS
crack me
map
up.
system would be good for you.
GPSs are nice because also, like a man, I can't ask for directions. I gotta wander around until I find it myself.
Yeah, but
Definitely.
if you turn on the GPS and you go to the man mode, then it's a guy telling you it's okay. On the voice.
I don't know any guys who want that.
No, I just find it for myself. Mostly, also they don't have GPS functions like to find my way around the hospitals, but that would be really
No.
nice.
God,
That's
wouldn't that
what the
be?
colored lines
It'd
on
be
the
so
floor.
nice. Like, oh, I need to go to like
Not
room
all hospitals
230.
have
Okay.
that, Randolph.
Ben, aren't there colored lines on the floor?
Not all hospitals
No.
have that, Randolph. That's limited.
That's just
Very
Hollywood.
few in the
Okay.
United States have
They
that.
do have signs on some of the walls that tell you where the rooms are. I rely on those
Yeah.
heavily.
Oh yeah, like when you come off the elevator.
Even when
This way
I've
for
been at the
these, this way
hospital
for these.
for a month. Like, I'm at the same hospital for another month now, and I still do that. I'm like, which way is this room?
There was a hospital in Columbus we used to take people to all the time, and a lot of times it was into like the cardio or something or the cancer. So we'd take them all
Yeah.
the way up, and drop them off wherever room was. And we'd get lost coming back out of those fucking places, man. We get lost
Hospitals are
going in.
mazes.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, how did you design this like this?
I don't know.
There was this one hospital that had like a walkway all the way around the outside, which was cool because if you didn't mind walking a little farther and you wanted to avoid everybody, you could just walk around the outside of the hospital. But then it would just dead end. And then you have to backtrack and go down the hallway to go around it. And you could see where you're supposed to be. There was just no reason for it.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. They just like put up glass walls and put in plants. And there you were, looking at the people that just had to walk around through the offices. I don't know why they did it. It was the stupidest shit.
It's like a
so
real
we were
life.
like, Irk! Oh shit. What do we do now?
It's like
Oh
a
my
real
God.
life D&D dungeon.
Yeah.
Except all the
We're
walls
just
are
a
white
maze.
and it's
Yeah.
well lit. Can you imagine hospitals had a medieval theme and they had like it looked like dark stone walls with little dim lamps all around? It'd be pretty cool and pretty
Oh, that's
relaxing.
down in
wouldn't
the morgue, Randolph.
No, morgues are creepy. Morgues are so creepy.
No, the operating
it?
room
What's the
I
matter,
went
Ben?
to,
Haven't you
they
seen dead
had-
bodies before?
We were in the basement and they
Yeah.
had block walls.
I have.
I know the answer is yes.
Yes. Ben
Morgue
sees
bodies-
they're dead.
Morgue bodies and cadaver lab bodies are very different bodies.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
fresh
and they're
ones
both
are
different from the-
awful.
And they're both different from the stuff you find in the public in bad neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I've seen.
Yeah, I've seen those too.
Randolph,
Yeah,
are you eating
fun
ice
stuff.
cream?
Yes.
Bastard.
Mac and Divine, it's nice to meet you too. And Divine, thank you for that warm welcome.
Yeah, no problem. No
Likewise.
problem. I appreciate you being here.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah.
You know me from somewhere?
I saw you on the stream where you talked to Exiled. I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, that with the response to
Yes.
Steve McCrae trying to destroy my character. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And I used the word tried.
Yes. Tried.
Because he's been trying to do it.
I know that saga. So.
I blocked him on Twitter, and he's quieted down after a while because I think he's busy with other things. It's just, I didn't respond to the first time he tried to do that. The second time, I thought, you know what? Most people, they just need to blow off steam, get out of their system, and then it's over. But he seems to have some kind of obsession. So it's. I think he's mentally unstable, and he needs to get some psychotherapy and get things sorted out because he's got some serious problems. And it's sad because he could do a lot more with his life than he is.
Well, that's his loss.
Yeah.
Are you echoing on yourself?
What's that?
Yes. Divine's echoing.
Not
Well,
me.
you're barefoot too, B. Okay.
It isn't me.
Oh.
I see B is barefoot. Theo radically was
Hairy legs and all.
theoretically was teasing me earlier about doing construction work barefoot.
I think
I
it's
was more
Randolph.
comfortable in the summertime. I was careful. I do wear the protective shoes when I need to, though.
I think it's Randolph who's echoing.
Oh, am I echoing?
Randall,
I'm sorry, I
It's
didn't.
you.
I'll mute myself here.
you're right. Thank you, Divine. I missed
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
Sorry about that.
one thing I would like to point is that right now it's raining as hell. So if you're hearing like thunder or raindrops, it's because it's raining as fuck in my area right now. So
Raining here too. Good for the
FYI.
garden.
Good for the garden, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh no, I love rain. I mean,
I
I'm in
can
the high
see.
desert. When it rains here, we're like, yeah, it rains
Yeah.
so much. Although they don't like monsoon season here, but they call it monsoon season, but it's really not that bad. I don't know why they make it sound like it's horrible. Like I used to live by the ocean where we got like hurricanes would go up through there and blow shit. And yeah, no, that's you guys don't know. This is
Can the
not a
cat come
monsoon.
back?
They're going after a bug because that's what they're always doing. Oh,
I too would like to see more of the cat.
Cat.
The cat is the.
I don't know if I can hold him though because there's a fly. He's got to get the fly. See, he
Oh,
can't
he's
stand
got to
it.
go get it.
Okay, go get the fly. Go get the fly. Yeah, he can't. No, not right now.
Randolph,
It's
what do
only
you
time
have
he's not
going in your
lovey.
garden still?
Sorry, I didn't quite hear. A bit cut out. What was the question?
Yeah, I was wondering what you still had producing in your garden. I live in Michigan, and it's pretty much shot right now. Like a couple of hot peppers are still fruiting, but we've got nothing because it's been cold for the last week and a half. So, what do you got going on?
Not a heck of a lot. The rosemary plant's still doing pretty good and providing us rosemary, but potatoes. There's a few potatoes scattered about that just keep growing almost like weeds. But yeah, everything else is pretty.
Really, dude? Sick fucking British fucker.
Well,
That'll piss
respect
him
for
off.
growing potatoes. That's awesome.
Yeah, the potatoes
So-
seem to grow in just about anything. They're pretty resilient, and like
Yeah.
the reason we have them scattered about is because we had some old potatoes that went moldy. So I just stuck them in the ground. I thought, okay, it'll just deteriorate. And here we've been getting potato plants for the last 5 years out of them. It's been
Yep.
great.
That's awesome.
They're amazing, and the potatoes are just fine.
So this guy that I follow on Twitter, he's a med student as well. He really wants to do emergency medicine. I think he's like talking. He's been on OB-GYN as well this whole month, and he's like, "I have not read an EKG in a while. I'm afraid I've forgotten the secrets of the squiggles." And then the best part, an orthopedic surgeon comes up in the comments and is like, "This is good. You have taken the first step. Trust the way of things enough to know that this must be."
That's great.
Once you stop reading EKGs, you become an orthopedic surgeon. That is the way of the world.
Echocardiogram. I know a few things, but nowhere near the expertise of you, Ben. But
It's just so
an
funny.
acronym, I know it. I'm real proud. I understood what the acronym
Orthopedic
is.
surgeon, though, just like it's brilliant. and then an EM emergency physician pops in, and they're like, "The squiggles told me that they miss you." The varying opinions on EKGs.
Now, the squiggles are an a medical term in the context of EKGs, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's too funny.
Yeah, I had an EKG done on me when I was a kid because the doctor wanted to rule out a heart problem. It turned out just to be a muscle that was
Yeah.
too tight. But they said my heart's better than, I guess, textbook. And I'm thinking they probably would say that about a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Lost Mac, huh? Oh, bye,
Yeah,
Mac.
Maybe.
he said in the chat he's gotta go.
Yeah, I missed it.
Alright.
Oh, it was nice speaking
Stool.
with Mac a little bit there. He was talking about gardening a bit. I'm not an expert gardener. I'd love to get into it more with him.
Still wants more cat anus.
I know he does. I'm trying to ignore that.
We cannot get through a single stream without somebody mentioning buttholes while I'm here.
It is absolutely the truth. starting to feel self-conscious.
Actually, there have been a couple streams now where buttholes have not been mentioned, and now it's being brought back. And I
Well,
miss
that's because Stool's back, Ben. You didn't see the
Stool.
common denominator there.
Usually, I don't
Mice
raise.
or Stool.
Yes, mice. I miss mice. Where's mice?
Yeah, where
been?
is Mice?
I don't raise those kind of topics, but what happens to me sometimes is they bring up all these pants jokes because I debated with a guy who had no pants on,
Oh yeah.
and he stood
Yeah,
up at the end
oh
of
my
the stream and
God.
showed everything. Yeah.
So gross, man.
Yeah, they just pick on me because of prostate exams, because it
Oh,
involves
okay.
buttholes
Mm.
and the snappy gloves. So snappy gloves and buttholes.
Oh, my
Now
Twitter
let's
feed
see
is
if they still have a sense of humor about it at exam
Well, how
time,
you
huh?
doing, dude?
Yeah.
my Twitter feed is
Oh,
full
no,
of just
my-
random shit.
Oh, that's right. Mice did switch shifts. That's why.
I hate that. We need mice back. I'm sad without mice.
Tons of Mice has a great sense of humor. So does Darnob Head.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Doorknobs, but he's really can get dark and sick sometimes. I still love him because sometimes he says some hilarious shit, but sometimes he gets a little dark and sick, and I'm like, yeah, I think you took that one step too far, buddy.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, he doesn't do it very often. Just depends.
Oh,
on
that's
If he's
probably
in the-
missed it.
if he's in the right crowd with his close knit, he'll just get kind of crazy, and I'm like, dude, like, chill.
So Divine, how did you end up getting into these communities? I'm glad you're here.
I mean, I think I spoke about it on the Holy Spackle interview. I was dragged in by a certain situation with a certain Lost cow.
Okay.
She tried to drag me into some nonsense. She went to my community to do that, and that dragged me to all these communities. And how I landed in this one specifically was via a mutual friend who she's trans, so that's how since I was talking about earlier about me wanting to understand she was the person
And
I
she's
spoke
not
to.
Dexter. She's the opposite, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
basically.
I know who you're talking about. And as far as the Lulz cow you mentioned earlier, would that be the one that advocates for abortion up to 5 years old?
No.
Oh, it's a different one.
It's
Okay.
a different one who's more crazy. But my
Oh,
point is
Wow.
because of her and I'm talking about the mutual friend, is how I came to these parts. And
Okay, yeah.
which is great for me because I get to interact with people who are a little bit wise, a little bit off my ears. So I also get this aspect of learning and just socializing in general, because when you're in my world you don't have that as much. You do,
Oh.
but it's like it's of the same thing, and I kind of want to experience something different, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I like to move around and join into different channels here and there as much as I can, and it's hard to keep up and be a regular, but I try to get in here and there where I can. It's
Yeah,
because there's so many nice people. There really are a lot.
True.
I know,
It's
true.
true.
And that's, for me, it's harder now to join in these panels because the way I came into being specifically is Holy Spackle shared
Yeah.
a stream. And
Yeah.
since I follow her on Twitter, I saw it. I'm like, I'm gonna give this a shot. I mean, I saw Yubi, and then
I like
she
Holy
wrote.
Spackle too.
Yeah,
know?
she's great.
So that's how I found you, and then then I started getting into panels and shit. And because I'm doing my show later on, which will be around November, December, I'm kind of polishing myself to be better at it in terms of just jumping panels and try to get a feel for being myself, but also being a little entertaining in the process. Whether it be my colorful
Great.
language, my dark sense of humor, or whatever, or just being my
Right.
calm self.
Yeah.
That's
Being yourself is very important. What is the focus of your show going to be?
I talked about this earlier. It was more about, talking topics that not many cover because of
Ah.
the community that I come from. We are the filter of the darkness that is the internet. And this goes back to the below the iceberg concept. But obviously, we're not going to touch on those specifically because that's too dark. But we can tippy-toe around it.
Well, if you ever want a guest on, I don't mind getting into dark topics a little bit. Just feel free to let me know.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I
Yeah,
mean,
Randolph's
I guess,
great and very supportive, and
Yeah.
pats
And
me
I've
on the
seen
back.
some
He's a
pretty
good
dark
guy.
stuff that I wouldn't mention publicly because it's just way too much. But
Yeah, no, but
I
I
can-
mean,
I can handle anything.
with my show, it's going to be kind of informing you, but also making laugh at it. For instance, what I was talking about earlier, racist cartoons. Like there's old
Oh, okay.
cartoons from the 30s and 40s.
Oh yeah, I know the
that
type.
yeah.
Yeah, I know the type. Yeah.
Now they're sort of frowned upon. But me and my co-host, because we don't talk as much as we used to because time zones. He lives in Europe. I live in America. But when we talk and we see it, we always laugh each other's ass off when we do it, and we pick apart whatever we're watching. So that's just bringing that element to the podcast world.
That sounds fantastic. Are you, by any chance, a target group of a demographic of those cartoons?
No.
Okay, I was just curious.
No. I mean,
But it's good. Somebody should pick those things apart. That's good.
Yeah, because not many people do them, and it's. I come from the world of the hacker community, the 4chan, the B-board, the bullshit.
Good old
So,
4chan and
yeah,
8chan.
and I've been to 8chan. 8chan is hell. So it's like I know that firsthand. Funny part is I remember seeing YouTubers getting doxxed on 4chan and 8chan, especially 8chan. I remember one in particular. I'm not going to mention their name because they're not,
Yeah.
they're not in the room, so I'm not going to do that. But I saw a lot of YouTubers, creators getting doxxed on there when I was just a worker in 8chan.
Yeah, Darth Dawkins has tried to dox me a few times, and so have some others, and I've got things in place for that. So it's
No,
they can
it's
try.
I mean, the way I see it is this. I think this is something a creator just needs to accept. At some point, it's going to happen. Once you start being paranoid about it, it's like it's easier for you to manage yourself. If whatever
prepared.
happens, if whatever happens and they try to do that to me, I'm like, do it. You're gonna really just make me feel relief in you doing it.
Well, I don't give anybody consent to do it, and
I don't give consent either. But here's the thing: if you're gonna use it, even if I don't give consent, you're still gonna try to do it anyway. So it's like
that's reality. Yeah,
that's just reality of life. And I'm like,
but
you're doing me a favor. So
I work on the expectation that it's not going to happen. Although I understand that this expectation is probably wrong, and I know it is because a couple have already tried.
Idealistic, I like to call that. It's idealistic, but my expectations are like on the narrow middle ground. So I'm like, I don't want it to happen, but if it does happen, you'll be doing me a favor. That's how I go about it.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna need to head off because I have
Yeah,
work tomorrow. So I got.
I'm ending this anyway. So
Man, it's great to see you.
I love
Divine,
talking to you guys, but I'm done.
I just want to say one more thing. Divine, I look forward to seeing your show. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know when you've got a YouTube channel ready for it, and I'll go subscribe before you even have any videos on.
I'll send you the link. I think I added you on Discord, so I'll send it to you there.
Oh, fantastic! That'll work. Yeah.
All right.
If you're using a different name there, just mention that you're Divine from the show, and that'll help.
No, I think you're friends with me on Discord, but I'll hit you up regardless. No worries.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thanks.
So, Divine, thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate it. It was great talking to you and getting to know you a little better. You're always welcome here. So just know that. And I think everybody in the chat really loved you. So if you want to talk to any of them, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to talk with you. Ben and Randolph, thanks for coming by. I really appreciate that. It was nice seeing your faces. Everybody in the chat. Thank you, Randolph. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for coming. I always truly appreciate all the support you guys give and having my back and chilling and everything you guys do. So thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another and have some peace in your life.